Contract with changing market conditions and a benefits package for you and your employees. Contact Bob at IBEW Local 22 for additional details at 402-980-7596.
Introducing Modern Real Estate, the game changer in Nebraska's property market. With a competitive 2% commission rate, we're making buying, selling, and investing more affordable and transparent than ever. Our experienced agents blend local expertise with cutting-edge technology to provide top-notch personalized service to all clients. Don't settle for less when you can save big without compromising. Visit modernrealestateco.com and experience the future of real estate today. Modern Real Estate, redefining the way you do real estate.
Seasons change. Why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16 powered by Intel Core processors. You'll be able to bring your most intensive projects to life with built-in AI, minimalistic design, immersive visuals, and cinematic audio. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics plus free shipping on everything. Amazing prices await you for a limited time only at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank.
Attention baseball fans, are you ready for the ultimate college baseball championship experience this summer? Tickets for Less is giving you the chance to win big with their CWS VIP contest. One lucky winner, you're going to score 2 tickets to Game 4 of the CWS on Saturday, June 5th at 6 p.m. Plus, you'll get 2 all-inclusive VIP tailgate passes and a parking pass. Don't miss the shot at an unforgettable game day experience. Enter now at ticketsforless.com/contest for your chance to win the ultimate prize. That's ticketsforless.com/contest. The winner will be announced once the field is set for the series.
Nothing says summer better than corn, carnivals, and baseball. Come enjoy carnival games, food and drink specials, and watch the Storm Chasers play in their fan favorite Corn Chasers jerseys at our Wednesday night carnivals, presented by Nebraska Spine Hospital. You can also bring your canine friends to these games as part of our Park in the Park series. Visit OmahaStormChasers.com for more info.
Omaha Storm Chasers family. Everyone get on your feet, stir up the storm with family.
1620 The Zone.
Finds McDavid, heading for the net, around Steele, toe drag, backhander score. What a sensational goal by the captain, Connor McDavid. It's 1-0 Edmonton in Game 6. Spectacular! 30 seconds, Haskin has it blocked. This game, this series is over. Edmonton's heading to the Stanley Cup final.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
Hey guys, great to see you.
Hey, great to see all of you. Great to hear all of you. It's a new week. Yes, we are live in studio. I was about to say that just like Slim Shady, which, by the way, dropped some new music. The Slim Shady is back. I was going to say just like Slim Shady, the whole trio is back, but we are missing a producer. That's okay. The Peter Man is here. I am Gary. There is Nick. As you heard, the Stanley Cup Finals are set. It's going to be a long-distance relationship. Edmonton defeated Dallas in 6 with Connor McJesus doing Connor McJesus things. They'll take on Florida. We still got a couple more days to the NBA Finals. And unfortunately, the drought continues. We've now reached 19 years without Nebraska baseball advancing out of a regional. Yesterday down in Stillwater in a rain-delayed event, they fell to Florida 17-11. Nebraska got a safety and a couple of field goals. But they gave up 2 touchdowns. It was just too much to overcome for Nebraska. And so the Nebraska baseball season is over. If you did not catch it, last night, Florida forced a game 7 of that regional as they beat Oklahoma State. Good morning. Good to see you.
You as well.
How are things? The station is still standing.
It is.
I really did not pay much. I got completely off the grid. I did not respond to anybody. Did not look at email. I'm about to open up my email.
Can we do the over-under? The over-under on how many we got?
What do we think?
Let's say, so are we just talking work email or personal or both?
Work email.
Work email, let's say. I'm going to set the over-under at, it was a relatively calm week. Now, you probably get more work emails than I do. So I'm going to say, I'll set the over-under at 150. Is that a hard over?
Peter?
So you haven't checked this since before the holiday or
I'm trying to teach all you youngins a lesson.
Since Nebraska in the Big Ten tournament?
Yeah, that was the last time I tweeted.
Okay, I'll take the over.
So I haven't tweeted since Nebraska beat Penn State. It's not like I don't know what's going on because I got thoughts, man. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, but I haven't. I tell people this, like when you go on vacation unless it's necessary that you stay in contact, because I like to have just a full communication withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I call it.
It's healthy.
People say I couldn't get a hold of you. I'm like, I'm having a communication withdrawal from y'all while you go on vacation. I'd like to teach that to the younger set out there, that it's very refreshing. It's relaxing. It's cleansing. You don't start staring at social media and feel the need to tweet while you're on a beach somewhere or like look at an email. You're rather low. Gonna be a long day. I'm gonna have to sift through the good and the bad,
prioritize
and the
what's
ugly
important.
of the email.
Yeah.
But glad to see it. Glad that everybody is back. I'm also glad that we've all made it to Monday after watching a regional from O'Brate Stadium, which a lot of people like saying O'Brate.
It's kind of fun.
O'Brate Stadium.
It seems like a way to greet somebody or celebrate. O'Brate.
What is up? I mean, and neighbor of mine went to the regional down in Stillwater, and he is one of the texts I responded to. And he said, hey, man, the people down here have been great. Great ballpark. Man, you ought to see the facilities. They'll just let you walk wherever you want to walk.
Yeah.
People are great. And I said, were you at O'Brate? And he goes, oh, yeah, it's O'Brate.
O'Brate.
But how did we make it through another sporting event in the city of Stillwater, Oklahoma, without having like nightmares from the angles, whether it be Gallagher Iba or O'Brate Stadium?
Yeah.
And then I couldn't sleep last night, one, because of the damn birds. Okay,
they're back.
The birds at 3:05 for about 40 minutes are singing in unison.
Welcome back.
If you need to have sex, birds, whatever. But get it over with, okay? All right, no foreplay. Just get in, get out. Whatever you got to do, make a little baby bird, but stop waking me up at 3 a.m. Or the sound of the bat from the regional in Stillwater, which I think the crowd mic was turned up past 10.
Yeah.
How did we survive with the camera angle where every ball looked like it? Well, I mean, it's
in the far left field corner. Yeah.
It's a bandbox.
It is.
But it seemed like every ball that was hit, if you were not watching the TV and you like turned away,
right,
and you were just listening for the sound, every ball hit this weekend sounded like it was hit to Tulsa.
Yep. Yeah. And especially as Florida got relentless there in the second half of that game when they resumed action. They're like, hey, 7-6, here we go. In Florida. This was so I in full disclosure on Friday, I said I'm taking Oklahoma State out of that. I took Florida to win that game on Friday. And we've had this conversation many, many times. My biggest issue with this team has not been pitching that a lot of people want to go to. It's been the offense and trying to keep pace. And you knew that there was going to be an SEC feel when it came to Florida's offense. Jack Caglione, by the way, my gosh.
Is he the next Shohei Ohtani?
If there is somebody that is, yes, thank you. The 119. It's like you think about, all right, the matchup, should we walk them or do we put them on? If we put them on, we do realize that if you're making that decision, you're in jeopardy of all of a sudden being down 6-4. But then you're thinking, hey, you know what? Let's play the percentages. We'll pitch to him carefully. But your worst fears come to light, and he does that. 119 on a hanger, like a fastball. At 90, 91 miles an hour, at least the pitcher's generating a little bit of that velocity. No, that was all him on a hanger. But yeah, then you have I don't know if it was controversial. I know Will Bolt said after the game he thought from where he was, his angle, that it could have been a home run. The one that they had ruled a foul ball, they overturned it, or they were hoping to overturn it. It remained a foul ball. I was listening to the radio broadcast in that moment and had to go back and actually see it. On TV, it does look close, but the broadcast, they were saying they felt from their vantage point, it looked foul. They thought that was the right call, but it was so damn high. Either way.
Great point. That's the first thing I thought of as they continued to show the replay and the ball would be out of the screen.
Yep.
If the ball is not as high as it was, they probably look at it and go, that's a home run.
Yep.
But because the ball was so high, it gave you a really weird angle.
Yep,
if you were looking
conclusive.
straight down the line, like you're looking down the third base line, and of course there were no camera angles.
Yeah. I mean, anything that went into left field in that corner, you're like, okay, someone went in. I don't know if they came out. Where's the ball down in that far corner? And so you essentially had to go off of body language. And if there were any fans around that area, like if they were excited, they're like, okay, it's a fair ball. Or then nobody did anything, like, okay, it's foul. But yeah, I will say this about O'Brien, because when did they upgraded that field? It wasn't that long ago. Well, you've been at the old one.
Oh yeah, and I think
that was turf, right?
No, that was grass.
Okay, I thought they had turf.
The dimensions were small, and I once called a 37-18 Nebraska-Oklahoma State game there.
That's the offense we're talking about.
That there was a tornado warning in Lincoln.
Yeah,
KLIN went to weather coverage and came back, and we were still in the same inning.
Oh, don't you love those games? I thought actually the way yesterday's game was trending in the first two innings, you were in for another one of those, because that second inning alone, I think felt like it took for an hour.
So again, Florida won last night. So they have forced a do or die with Oklahoma State. There's some good games on the docket. LSU all of a sudden could be hosting a super if they beat North Carolina again today. Oklahoma and UConn play again. You got Evansville, East Carolina that are going to play. You have the resumption of the rain delay between Oregon State and UC Irvine. So we got the Beavers and the Eaters, which is always a interesting matchup. But yesterday, so there's going to be plenty to discuss about the Nebraska baseball season. And essentially now, except for track and field, Nebraska athletics is over. There's really nothing of significance until August 31st. I don't want to overlook track and field, but August 31st will be here before you know it. And it is 89 days away.
Yes.
Are we allowed to do a countdown? I heard that there are no countdowns allowed on 1620 The Zone. Okay, it's 89 days.
Yep, there it is. You just broke protocol. 89 is correct.
But and we're going to talk a lot this morning about what kind of a season was for Nebraska. What do they got to do? What does the Big Ten look like? Because the Big Ten had a bad day yesterday, but the Big Ten probably had the day you kind of expect when you think about the way the Big Ten rosters are built.
Yeah.
And you're playing day number 3 of a regional. But there's a couple of moments yesterday in that game where I think Nebraska had opportunities and then they let them slip away. And then they kind of showed their true identity of the whole season. Remember, Nebraska won the tournament championship. So they're at the top of the Big Ten. And they were number 2 in the regular season.
Yeah.
Well, they're about similar to a middle of the pack or back of the pack SEC team.
Yes.
Which Florida is. And I can't tell you how impressive it is that Florida won last night against Oklahoma State. But
after getting 2 hit the night before.
The Stokes home run was a big moment. And again, they're not required to have down-the-line cameras, and these ballparks are not built for it. You know, the ballpark downtown, the Day Trader, is built for it because it hosts the College World Series. So that's a little bit frustrating. And as you brought up, and I was right with you, the ball was too high. If it's a little bit lower, you probably can make a better determination and go, man, that's a home run. Will thought from sitting in the dugout, his vantage point, now he's not looking straight down the line, he's a little on an angle, that he thought the ball was out. That was a big moment. But Nebraska got a couple of runs early. Then What did they do?
You boot it.
They gave it right back.
Yep. Wild error and walk.
Yeah. And they put guys on base, ahead of Caglione, and Caglione did Caglione things, and you had to throw Jackson Brockett. At some point, he was going to pitch in this series, so he was going to pitch against lineups that just crush the baseball.
Yep.
So you really had no choice, and that's tough when you are a nibbler and you need the heater and a Florida team that sits dead red in that ballpark and swings like they do. Yeah. So when you got an early lead, you gave it right back. Then I thought another key point in the game was when you got Florida's pitcher, who he had nothing but a fastball.
Yep.
He had no trust in anything but his fastball. So again, you're playing in a ballpark that the ball carries, and all you got to do is sit dead red because that's all he's got. And Nebraska couldn't put up crooked numbers. Then when things kind of settled down, because that game was looking like 37-19, Frelick comes out of the bullpen and settles everything down. 2 2/3, no runs, 3 Ks. And then unfortunately the rain came. Yep. So you're not going back to him after 2 hours and 4 minutes. And then Nebraska, and then that's what really threw this into chaos, because Nebraska then is scrambling, because in the back of your mind, you know this, Nick, you got 2 more games at least. So you can't all of a sudden roll Christo out there, roll Walsh out there. You got to start throwing some guys that your trust level is subpar. And you're playing against Florida, who is swinging out of their shoes, and you saw what happened. I mean, you could only go so long before the dam broke, and unfortunately it got kind of ugly after the rain delay. I mean, Nebraska, chipped away, but 17 runs is 17 runs, and that's how the season ends with 40 wins.
I'll put this one at the more of the question box or the suggestion box of be really curious to know what the plan going into this game was with Jackson Brockett, because you brought up one of the true identity markers of Jackson Brockett when he's on the mound. He's around the plate. Now, let's start with the positives of that. He is. And
Johnny, I need some strikes.
If you're getting certain calls now, yesterday the high strike was not being called, which is probably not the worst thing when you're not eclipsing 90. Every now and then when you want to reach back and you want to change eye level, okay, fine.
Depending on who was batting.
Well, now there was what was it, the third? Was it the third inning where you had the back-to-back called strikeouts? Those were bad. That
was a rough inning for the guy behind the plate.
Yes, those were. We'll just say there was a little inconsistency there. But if Jackson going in against that type of a lineup you're seeing solid contact, and I want to give Jackson Brockett some credit early in that outing. It wasn't all 119 exit velocities. It wasn't everything off the bat was just pinging, but Florida he wasn't fooling anybody. Florida was getting a bat on the ball. There was one moment where I think it was during Rob Childers' first mound visit that they had just got Kyle Frelick up. I would have thought that if you're rolling Jackson Brockett out, you're hoping for the best case scenario, especially with what Florida saw the night before with Holiday. Completely different arm. So you're thinking maybe that can keep them off balance a little bit. It didn't. I mean, he just wasn't fooling anybody. I was surprised that
because he's a nibbler. They needed a heater.
Yeah, that would have helped. I was surprised that whether it was Frelick or anyone else, that they did not have, maybe even within the first 4 or 5 batters, somebody ready to get hot, because I thought maybe Brockett was in there 2 batters too long. It just seemed like it all happened so fast that it's like, okay, yeah, he doesn't have it. Let's get someone going now. And then at that point, you got a kid who's struggling. He knows that his best weapon is his ability to throw strikes, but Florida's best weapon offensively is they don't care where the ball is. They are swinging for the solo, for the 2-run bomb, the 3-run bomb, or the grand slam. I mean, everything that it was all elevate, celebrate type of swings.
See, I think I hear what you're saying. I think they went with the mindset that we're going to be here for a long time today. And so we're going to have many arms that are going to pitch, and we want to ride certain arms as long as possible. Now, again, unfortunately, you can't do anything with Mother Nature. She always wins.
Yeah.
2 hours and 4 minutes. Kyle Frelick had settled that game down. That he had kept Florida off balance, and all of a sudden the faucet had been turned off, and you still like Nebraska's approach at the plate. And then the rain came, and you're not going back to him. You're just not doing that after sitting out for 2 hours. But I think I think they went with, we're going to be here a long time. So Brockett's got to start it, and we're going to ride him as long as possible. I also think Nebraska thought they were going to score a lot of runs.
Yeah, and that's
which they did. I mean, they scored 11. Unfortunately, they gave up 17. And, at the back end, that's how Kyle Perry's career comes to an end, is just getting smoked. But I don't know. At the end of the day, in this regional, it showed the difference between how rosters are built in the SEC compared to the Big Ten. And then I'll throw the Big 12 in there, because the Big 12 doesn't take a backseat to anyone in terms of a baseball conference. And when you get to that third day, and again, Nebraska hadn't used a lot of pitchers, but the back end of your bullpen starts to show up. Looking around this weekend, either with the 3 Big Ten teams that had a bad day yesterday or other teams that are not in the power conference, that back end of the bullpen suffers a little bit.
And think about Nebraska. One of the things that maybe we don't give them enough credit for in Big 12 baseball, when they had, everyone talks a lot about, the Zach Kroenkes being that third guy of that 05 team. But when you had Jabba and Johnny Dorn, but then you were able to go to Zach Kroenke, we probably don't give the Brett Jensens in the world, the relievers on those teams, enough credit. And one of the things that I think about, and this is typically when you see it, is you take a team that is within their conference shell up against teams that are, whether we're talking SEC or Big 12 teams, that team, that Nebraska team, those teams back in the day, Big 8, Big 12 teams, though, when you're facing some really good competition, you got to the NCAA tournament, whether you were, finished second, third, fourth in your conference, those types of offenses that they saw from Florida didn't phase them at all, because they saw it every week. There were moments in this game, and even on Friday, even though Friday was a much more manageable type of game that I thought Nebraska really wanted to be into. I thought Peter, what did we go over the numbers? If Florida scored 6 or less, it was
6 or less. They were 5-22 on the year.
And so you're thinking, hey, that's where Nebraska wants them. And I said on Friday,
crazy. They've scored 27 times. They've scored 6 or more.
Yeah. But I'm thinking to myself, this is a team, Florida, that is, if you can keep them in that type of ball game, is where you would think they'd be uncomfortable, and Nebraska would be comfortable. But there were moments even in that game with the low offensive output that it seemed like in certain at-bats, Nebraska, pitching-wise, even Sears, who I was wrong on that. I said I thought he would have a chance to have some really good stuff, and it would show. It was kind of similar to that start he had against Purdue, where he was just trying to compete his way through. And it wasn't all bad, but he wasn't nearly as effective. He wasn't nearly as electric as he's been. But there were moments in that game where I thought Sears felt maybe a little overwhelmed in certain at-bats. I thought you saw that yesterday and a lot of the game.
I thought Sears got tired at the end of the year.
I do too. I think so, if you look at his trend,
he was hanging on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and he gave him a lot more than I thought he would.
He's a good enough pitcher. He can do that.
Yep.
But I thought the last couple of outings, he just kind of hung on.
Yep.
He wasn't as sharp early. Now, the Big Ten one seemed to get stronger as the game went along, but I thought he labored for a long time on Friday, and he knew his duty was, I can't be out after 3 innings.
Right.
And he's got good enough stuff that he was able to get out pitches.
Yep. Just ham and egg it.
So 1 run didn't lead to 2, 2 didn't lead to 3. McConaughey probably at the end of the year was their ace.
Yep.
But I don't know. It's you have to. You can't go and play in this regional, and twice you play Florida without learning a lesson. If you have the ability to do some things of lessons learned on how to construct a roster, because I think the nuts and bolts internally are pretty good. This team was resilient all year.
Absolutely.
They fought hard. They liked each other. You didn't have any issues off the field. You just had issues during the midweek. So they've got the nuts and bolts inside figured out. I just think in the new Big Ten and in a sport that is dominated by geography is how do you go about constructing your roster with in-state guys and junior college guys? Because in-state guys, you're battling a different force that you can't overcome. And I think that's why Nebraska goes heavy junior college, because they have a lot of junior college connections on the staff.
Yep.
And they've had success with junior college players. So you have to learn a lesson from this regional. And in the next segment, we'll talk about, because there's a lot of debate. Is it a great season? Is it a deflating? Is it 19 years now that Nebraska's not gotten out of a regional? What does that mean? What does it mean in 2025 when Oregon, who is now going to 2 straight supers, joins the Big Ten? Where is Nebraska's place in it? But I thought yesterday kind of That's a team that last year was a national runner-up. They play in the SEC. They got a lot of pitching depth.
Yep.
Against a team that, as I think I've said, and you've agreed with me, were good, not great all season long.
Mhm.
And they hung in there.
Yeah. And I thought the win that they had
yesterday,
the win that they had against Niagara, to me, that was more of a typical Big Ten weekend. You know, for them, as far as the talent level they were playing, the back and forth, I think they were within their comfort zone of a game like that. When you go back to Friday, where you're still in a game that's very similar from a scoreboard standpoint, this is where you look at, okay, but one little mistake. If you go back to yesterday, think about Oklahoma State, who was absolutely dominant in that win against Florida. Florida's coming in humbled. Florida had 2 hits, and that happened in the 9th. I mean, they were, or I guess they had one, then they had the 2-run bomb in the 9th.
That's why I said when Nebraska attacked yesterday the right way.
Yep.
I mean, it's a Sunday fun day run day.
But what do you got to do in that bottom half of the frame? You need a shutdown.
Yeah. When you put up 2, Florida can't put up 2.
Exactly.
You can't be going run for run.
Well, and think of their psyche going in. Okay, first hitter reaches on an air. Second one, walked. All of a sudden, they're thinking we're down 2-0, but all of a sudden we've got first and second, nobody out, and a game that we desperately need offense because we didn't have it the night before.
Yeah,
that's a big part of it right there.
There's, the Gabe Swanson 2-week run was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Disappointment of Josh Caron. He just could not duplicate what he did in Omaha the week before. And I thought, in a ballpark that, check swing and that ball might end up on the roof of some facility. He really, really struggled at the plate. And I thought then you could see it midway through his at-bats against Niagara. He started to chase.
Yep.
And he did that again yesterday. And Florida knew from Sully calling pitches in the dugout, they had him on a string.
Yep.
And then the other part is Nebraska, and this was a common theme throughout the year. In moments that mattered, they couldn't get leadoff guys on.
Yeah. And that's all Florida did.
Or when they got guys on, there might have been 1 out, 2 outs.
Yeah.
Or the few times that Nebraska, especially against Florida in the 2 games they played them, Nick, when they got guys on to lead off an inning, they would strand them.
Mm-hmm.
It was 7-6. No, was it 6-5?
Yeah.
It was 6-5, and they had a chance to make it 6-6 and left the guy in scoring position on. And you in that situation where that now you're just throwing darts at a wall with your pitching, that you need to score as many runs and take advantage of those opportunities. So those are a couple of disappointing things on the weekend. But they made it to Sunday. I know some might look at it and go, not good enough. They made it to Sunday. They won 40 games this year.
And I'll be curious as we go out, throughout this morning, and we're talking more about this, and people are chiming in. A couple of emails that I got last night where there's the disappointment, there's maybe frustration, but if you're taking the team that they lost twice to out of the equation, say it's a lesser known team that's good. Say, let's just throw East Carolina. There's a team that's been on the verge of getting to Omaha, and it doesn't happen. If you think about those teams as opposed to a well-known college baseball brand, Florida, does that make it even more frustrating? Is basically what I'm asking. The fact that they lost 2 games to a Florida team that, yes, barely made it in, but a Florida team that still has the most exciting offensive player, or at least if not top 2, in Jack Caglione, who does Jack Caglione things every time you actually pitch to him. Does that make it more tolerable with how it played out as opposed to if you lose, say you come back and you end up losing to Niagara? That's a big flop. You don't get 1 win. Everyone's frustrated. But the fact that it was 2 against Florida, even though they're not the same team as that national runner-up last year, given how that program is built, does that soften the blow at all? I'd be curious to know what people think. I don't think it should, given how that team was, because of the way the game played out. I think context, especially in yesterday's game, is important because if you just avoid those mistakes early on, I'd be curious to see if that changes the way that game gets going and if Florida starts getting a little doubt creeping in early on.
Nebraska was the Sunday Nebraska yesterday.
Yeah.
Ironically, they played on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's what they were.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If you go back and listen to all of our Monday shows after Nebraska's Sunday game, very similar conversations. It's just this was one of the best Sunday teams you played.
Yep. Yes.
And
yes, no doubt.
a lot of those Sunday teams that, Nebraska wasn't great on Sunday. They would be great on Friday and Saturday. Weren't great on Sunday because
even when they'd win series, like sweep series, those Sundays were
the ones that they won, the team they were playing didn't cash in on mistakes by Nebraska, unlike Florida. All right, let me give you the lineup for the show. It is brought to you by the referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Evan Bland, who's got ownership in the station. Every time I turn on 1620, Evan Bland is on this radio station from the Omaha World Herald. Good thing Evan's a good guy, and he gives us good content and good conversation. Because I think Evan appears every day. I thought I'd been replaced.
He might be.
I thought it was Nick and Evan. I was like, where am I going to go?
Well, in full transparency, we were not going to have Evan on Thursday because we were set to have Michael Bruntz to talk some baseball, but Bruntzy's still out of the country. So all right, Evan, pinch hit. We're going to go to the bullpen. I know it's supposed to be your off day, but we need you, buddy.
So Evan, who is still in Stillwater, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so we'll wake him up about 8:30. Jacob Bigalow will stop by as well. That is the lineup brought to you by the referees at John Higgins Weather Guard. All right, the season is over for Nebraska baseball. Will's been here 4 years, 40-22. A week ago, it was the Magic Carpet Ride. How much fun was that? They got back to the NCAA tournament, won a Big Ten tournament championship, finished second, but 2005 is the last time Nebraska has gotten out of a regional. Let's discuss year 4 and what year 5 will look like, which could be very, very promising if you keep some guys here. The number to join the conversation at any point during the show today, 402-951-1620. That is the Zone Hotline, powered by 42 Degrees, the source by your mom's house. You can always email us into the Equitable Bank inbox, and many of you have, like Nick was alluding to. So we'll read some of those emails about the Nebraska baseball season and it coming to an end yesterday at 40-22. Equitable Bank, where they are open for business all the time, 24/7, 365. If you need to get a hold of Doug, we'll give you his cell number if you want to get in touch with the radio station. Banking, they take banking personally, professionally, and all the time. I'm new at this. Gary at 1620thezone.com.
Handley at 1620thezone.
Also on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Hey, maybe they'll have an on-field logo at Memorial Stadium. Big brand partner of Nebraska Athletics. The J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed also is a big fan of 1620 The Zone, and you can tweet at us at Gary Sharp 1620.
At Nick Handley 1620.
Peter Krenzer is here. We've got lots to discuss. College baseball, some great games today, some do-or-die games, some interesting results this weekend. Also, how we consumed college baseball from the SEC Network to ESPN Plus. Also, as I mentioned, the NHL Stanley Cup Finals are set. The NBA Finals are set as well. And we're 89 days away from Nebraska and UTEP, if you did not know.
Now you do.
Yeah, one more day of baseball, folks, and we're moving on. Boy, there are guys moving on from Creighton baseball. Whoo! Yeah. Someone pulled the fire alarm and everybody said, let's get in the portal. Damn. We will discuss that because there are some things that are going on with Creighton baseball that actually may benefit Nebraska baseball. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Peter Krenzer is in for Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your radio home for Omaha Storm Chasers baseball, proud AAA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Tune in to hear every pitch, every hit, and every out as the Chasers play at Warner Park and across the International League in 2024. With the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Nick Batters, on News Talk 1290 Coil.
Tune in to 1290 Coil all season long for your Omaha Storm Chasers baseball as they take on the International League. It's Storm Chasers baseball on 1290 Coil.
Is your concrete cracked or uneven? Hey everyone, Coach Greg McDermott here to explain why you should choose Everlevel Concrete Repair. Many people think they need to replace broken concrete, but repairing it provides durable protection and comes at a fraction of the cost. Everlevel provides permanent repair solutions to fix your concrete and protect it against future damage, and it all comes with a long-term transferable warranty. They offer free inspections to walk you through the entire process. Call Everlevel Concrete Repair today.
You know that dollar bill you've got stuffed in your wallet, purse, or pocket? give it a little respect because it could win you millions. Lotto America from the Nebraska Lottery is here, and it only costs $1 to play. It has a $2 million starting jackpot with drawings every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. What's more, you can add the All-Star bonus for an additional $1 to multiply any prize won. So unwrinkle that dollar bill in your glove box and play today. Lotto America top prize odds 1 in 26 million.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns. Here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-761-0000. That's 800-761-0000. 800-761-0000.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit.
Let's go on a fishing trip you will be talking about for years. The best walleye fishing trip ever. Join me, Crash Davis. We're going to travel to the walleye capital of the world, September 15th through the 19th aboard a deluxe motor coach. Travel with me to Ballard's Resort on Lake of the Woods. Pricing includes round-trip motor coach transportation, 4 nights lodging, 3 days of fully guided walleye fishing, and all of our meals. Go fishing with me, Crash. Your best trip ever. Sign up at ballardsresort.com. ballardsresort.com. And set the hook.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, 4 more days until the NBA Finals, Dallas and Boston. Then 6 days until the Stanley Cup Finals, which will be Southeast Florida against Northwest Canada.
Mm-hmm. The furthest miles ever in the Stanley Cup Finals between two
Nick,
organizations.
I was wondering. I have not heard that yet. I wonder if that'll be a storyline at all before Saturday on ABC. What'll be a storyline is people are going to tell you that the ratings are going to suck. You know what? If you like hockey, this is a really good matchup, and you'll watch.
Connor McDavid in the finals is not going to be a bad
If you don't
rate.
know,
Like
then
El Kent
that's on you.
Wolgamott tells me this movie sucks, and I want to go to it. I'm still going to go to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's how it works. But you're going to hear that the ABC execs are, pouring gasoline over the top of their head and lighting themselves on fire because the ratings are not going to be great. Well, that's on the bigger markets in the NHL. Be better, Rangers. But you get to see Connor McJesus, otherwise known as Connor McDavid, play. I did not know that people had already talked about the distance between Edmonton and Florida, which is in Sunrise, which is not easy to get to if you're familiar with that part of that, that side of Miami or that side of Florida where Miami is, Fort Lauderdale. I mean, it's basically in the swamp.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not the nicest arena. It's across the street from this great mall. I've gotten some great clothes at that mall.
The second time you brought up the mall over there.
But it is. It's in Sunrise, so it's kind of like it's like on the edge of the Everglades.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. But I did look this up because I knew you'd bring up the mileage thing. Do you know that Edmonton is closer to Greenland and Russia than it is to Sunrise, Florida?
I did not know that. That's fantastic.
Do you know that if you're covering this, there are no direct flights? Do you land in Omaha?
You might just hang out.
Like, is Omaha halfway between Edmonton and Sunrise, Florida?
It seems logical.
Hang out, check out the renovations at Epley.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Go to Cracky McGee's.
Sure, some people within the business can text Brian Windhorse and see how he does it. Just people in the industry that make Omaha their home.
Peter, can you do some research? I got to think that Omaha might be the midway point between Edmonton and Sunrise.
Let's look at it.
Which you know what? If we had an NHL arena in Gretna, we could host maybe one of the games so to cut down on travel.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, anybody that has flown a lot, when you're flying west to east is brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Like just you could leave, like at 6 a.m. your time and on the West Coast and land somewhere at 4.
Yeah.
I mean, west to east is brutal. So see if Omaha is the midway point between Edmonton and Sunrise, Florida.
Would that be something you could have games 1 and 2 in, say, Edmonton, game 3 in Omaha?
In Gretna.
If
they build the arena.
Yeah.
But
you get your...
It's going to be tough here in the next couple of days.
You go home and home, neutral, and then away.
According to this travel math website I just came upon, the halfway point between Sunrise and Edmonton is Indianola, Iowa.
Oh, well, how close is that to Des Moines?
That's a suburb.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
So we were pretty
close. It's where the hot air balloon festival is.
Oh.
It is the alma mater of the late Chris Street.
Okay.
Who, by the way, his dad got thrown out of an Urbandale Indianola football game for running his gums on the sidelines.
And I should have known better.
Whew, I'm not going to say what we did to his son that night because I was a big Chris Street fan. Indianola is... Now,
that was pretty close.
Yeah. Hey, so what website did you look up?
Travelmath.com.
My gosh.
Indianola,
it helps you find
Iowa.
a halfway point, and then it takes you directly. It'll input that data, and you can get airline tickets.
Thank God
There you go.
They invented the internet.
If they want to go to the Wells Fargo Arena, they could play there.
Boom, there you go.
Yep. Home of the Iowa Stars.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you already have ice. You have a professional setup. Maybe not quite what they're going to experience between Florida and Edmonton, but hey, little place
I believe
you can
that's
stop.
also where the Iowa Wolves play.
Maybe get a little skate around there before you hit the next flight.
It's really nice downtown. I've been to the 2 times they've hosted the NCAA tournament. I've gone over there to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with the Vets Auditorium, so I was not a Wells Fargo guy.
Yeah.
But Wells Fargo is a nice addition. All right, thank you for that. Did you also see
neutral site game?
Did you also see last night? And there is nothing like, whether it's any of the 4 major sports or any sport really anywhere, the energy in a home arena when you have you're on the cusp of winning a playoff series.
Oh yeah.
And the energy last night in Edmonton, first of all, it was a tension convention at the end when Dallas made it 2-1, but just the energy in the arena. Then also the other thing, and it's, we welcome our Canadians back to our sport, hockey, because it's been a while.
It has.
I mean, the
It's
last team was Montreal.
Yep.
Edmonton hasn't won a cup since 90, but we get to see Connor McDavid, who makes the great players of that league look like ham and egg or fourth liners.
Yeah.
He is that good.
His first goal last night was just stupid.
But they're also, one thing that will be great for the Stanley Cup playoffs is we get O Canada. Last night, and if you've ever had the opportunity to see a junior, a junior hockey league game in Canada, a minor league hockey game, you had the major junior championship last night. I think Saginaw beat London, and then or an NHL game. Whenever they do O Canada in Canada, there's just something, it hits differently.
I'm sure.
So last night in Edmonton, they had a guy in the upper deck in the middle of the crowd sang the national anthem. I've never seen it before. Now he wasn't just like a rando.
Yeah. That's where he wanted to be.
It wasn't like he walked in, he said, "Hey, We need somebody to sing the anthem. You look like a guy. Where are you sitting? We'll bring you the mic. We'll put the spotlight on you. So he's in the middle of the crowd on the upper deck last night, sings the national anthem. You know, one thing that hockey has done for us in our learning capabilities, there is no other country song that I know the words to than ours and Canada because of hockey. I can sing all of "O Canada."
I cannot,
because
but I know
hockey.
how it goes. I can catch words every now and then other than "O Canada," but also it's not foreign. You know the general tone to it and the melody to it. So any other anthem or country song, I couldn't even tell you where to begin.
I mean, the only one that is close would be Nikolai Volkov, because he'd always sing the Russian national anthem. And so I thought I had the Russian national anthem down when I was watching pro wrestling nonstop. But it's hockey that has allowed me to learn "O Canada," which is a banger of a national anthem. Some might even say it rivals our anthem. Ooh. I'm not saying that because I love red, white, and blue, and I don't have a current passport, so I can't go to Canada. But some might be saying it. So we get a home rendition of "O Canada" if you are looking for a storyline.
See, I think in Rocky,
outside of Corey Perry's he's in his 4th Stanley Cup in 6 years, which is a crime.
I think in Rocky IV, I was able to pick up a little. Again, didn't know the words of the Russian national anthem, but in Rocky IV, you are inundated with that at a young age.
Canada,
our home and native land. And then after that, I get lost a little bit.
Well, they do another great thing is they let the crowd sing.
Well, he should. Any good anthem, any good banger of an anthem, the crowd is going to sing, and then it takes a little bit different feel to it as well. That's the one thing about hockey is, and maybe this is where you and I have been to, whether the pro game or the college game. I'll be biased towards Jim Corneliuson, who I think is still the best. Some of the best renditions of the national anthem could just be a random Saturday night at your home arena. But when you hear like Jim Corneliuson, how he does it, there have been some tremendous performances. Why is that? Why is whether it's the Star Spangled Banner or "O Canada," it's phenomenal on the hockey level. Granted, you're not usually hearing "O Canada" at a football game, unless you're watching the Canadian League.
That's true.
Or a baseball game, even though you might have some. Well, I guess in Toronto, you would.
For the World Series, I believe they do "O Canada." Now, there have been times where singers on our beautiful ground have butchered "O Canada." So that's hurt with the foreign relations. Like they stopped opening up Tim Hortons in the U.S. for a while because we butchered "O Canada." All right. A couple of tweets here on Nebraska baseball coming to an end. Peter, could you sing "O Canada"?
Not a chance.
Our home and native land, true hatred,
a lot of practice would be
thou
needed.
dost on us command. We see the rising fair, dear land, the true north, strong and free. And stand on guard, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, O Canada.
Get these guys to the Stanley Cup Finals.
We stand on guard.
Hey,
for
you
thee.
hear it in person. And like if you still have hair on your arms, because that's a weird thing. I met somebody earlier this week. All their body hair is gone. I thought they might be having like an illness.
Like a slippery seal.
They're like, no, this is a new fad. And I'm like, no, it's not. But if you still have hair on your arms, it would stand up.
Okay. It would.
About baseball here. Which Ben Columbus.
Yes, he is.
Oh, Canadian. Sean says, can you sing "O Canada" in French? Why would I want to?
Yeah.
I had to take French when I was a freshman at Dowling High School.
Yeah.
Je m'appelle Raoul was my French name. I can't tell you anything else about that class. Other than the teacher was like 5'4" and had Coke bottle glasses, and she was mean. But she was teaching at a Catholic high school and was not a nun, which was surprising.
Were you guys supposed to do 4 years of a foreign language?
Yeah, I mean,
I split mine too.
Actually, Spanish worked out well when I got into minor league baseball.
Oh, yeah. I did 2 years of German, and I thought that was too hard, so then I switched over to Spanish. My wife took French. In fact, she studied abroad.
French is a love language.
It is.
I've created a lot of love in my lifetime, and I've made up French words.
The language of love. Language of love, Gary.
Welcome to Paris.
Are you in a Les Trois?
I don't know what that means.
Just sounds good, and then they go.
It does. Oui.
I speak the.
Oh, you speak French.
I speak the love language.
And then they want to get into a full-blown conversation in French. Like, yeah, just stop right there. No. I'm sorry. I initiated this.
It's like, hey, Yannick Noah. Okay. Don tweets in, as the Nebraska baseball season has come to an end, 40-22. Will's been here for 4 years. Got back to the NCAA tournament, which was the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Good team, not great team. I think good season. I'm always curious if you pressed players and asking them what kind of a season they thought it was, what's their response, and how similar is their response to ours. The Iron Lung tweets in, this was nowhere near an Omaha team. Disappointed fans haven't been watching SEC, ACC baseball. Different level talent. If Bolt wants to build a roster like that, he needs to move about 1,000 miles south. Those kids aren't coming to Lincoln. Watching, and this isn't new, wasn't yesterday, but just the difference in SEC, ACC, and Big 12, how they construct their rosters and the NIL that is available to them, to like the Big 10, which was fourth in the RPI, and even like the Big East or the AAC. It just shows you how Eric Bakich at Michigan, by the way, great in the dugout. I mean, when you're in the Big 10 or you're in these mid-major conferences, the guy in the dugout matters even more.
Yeah, big time.
But they caught lightning in a bottle at Michigan. They had a great guy in the dugout, but they also had a crew of players that wanted to play at Michigan that were local and good. Remember that they had 5 guys from Detroit?
Yeah.
That were kind of their core guys of that year. Where we have great baseball in this state. Great baseball. But the 2 top baseball players in the state, one is going to be drafted either in the first round or early in the second round, Tyson Lewis over at Millard West. But if not, he's going to go play for Dave Van Horn. Fountain from Norris is going to LSU. So there's and you got Kentucky, Vanderbilt, on and on. They're all SEC schools, or you mix in an ACC. So that's why Nebraska goes heavy junior college. And they still recruit locally, but the big names, it's going to have to take let's stay home and let's help Nebraska win. That's what Michigan got. So kind of seeing that, but the roster construction is one thing that, we'll discuss in the next hour, that Nebraska is going to have to decide how they want to go about constructing their roster. I want to read this email from Joel, and I'll wait for your response, Nick. Joel says, 2024 baseball season. I don't hate Coach Bolt. I don't want him fired. Ooh, the Corncob mob on Twitter, they fired Will and Rob like 40 times.
Yeah.
The paperwork was crazy in
and
the
then
HR
came back.
department in Nebraska.
And then jump back on.
Yeah. I just want the random collapses and inconsistencies to go away. The last 2 years, it's felt like we should be better than we are. Last year, we hit dingers, but our hitting still wasn't opportunistic and would disappear at points like it did this year. This year, our pitching got progressively better and looked good statistically, but in real games wasn't consistent and blew a few too many games to keep us from hosting. Hosting a regional with the schedule we had this year is not at all out of the reach for Nebraska. Absolutely, Joel, and shouldn't be in the future. But I just can't figure out why Bolt can't put all the pieces together. Childers mentioned a few weeks ago that Bolt is still learning from his mistakes as a new coach, but sometimes he seems to just stick to his plan and not adapt, i.e. not pinch hitting for Stone or Carey versus Florida on Friday. Would just like to hear your thoughts on what needs to change for Bolt to put a complete team together and season together to position ourselves better in the tournament so we don't have to go to a cupcake softball stadium and get lit up every tournament.
Yeah, and I read that one last night as well. The part that sticks out to me about where this team, if you go to 2021 and you look at this year's team, where I think there's common areas of need. And if you remember, 2021 had very similar. You had a Cade Povich from a numbers standpoint, very similar to what you got out of Sears. Now, what I thought Nebraska did a much better job of this year was establishing a lock solid number 2. I didn't mind Chance Roach in 21, but his stuff wasn't anything that was going to overwhelm you. It was more of what Chance Roach brought in with experience. And Mason McConaughey still learning. I think is very exciting for what Nebraska has in him. But the bullpen was pretty good. And even with Jake Buns struggling there at the end, man, he was good all season. Emmett Olson came into his own. You had Spencer Schwellenbach on the back, and that was your lockdown closer. So if you look at the structure from starters to middle relief to closers, those roles were defined. I thought this year we didn't really know who the closer was. Hell, after the rain delay, one of 3 closers started the second half, and Casey Dyson. I would say out of the 3 guys that they used at some point during the season as a closer, Casey Dyson stock was probably fallen a little bit.
Yeah, they didn't have. It's an interesting philosophy from the standpoint of. I grew up in Nebraska baseball when the Tom Otts of the world, which was a true closer that when he came in the game was over. They elected this year to go closer by committee because I think the guy you just mentioned, they wanted to be the back end of the bullpen and they couldn't trust him. And then Worthley would step up and then there would be other guys that would have their chance at it. So I think they made a decision early on to go bullpen by committee.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that closer. Yeah. But I think sometimes that uncertainty does, okay, if this guy, if it's his day, is the setup did everybody understand the rules on that pitching staff? But what I looked at with this year's offense, and I think Joel's spot on about even last year when you had Bryce Matthews and you had Max Anderson around them, there wasn't a lot of reliability. So you knew in a high leverage situation that you could try to pitch around those guys and nobody in the lineup was really going to challenge you. There were moments this year that you would look at this lineup and think, okay, if you got a Rhett Stokes with that type of his ability to get on base, or you look at a Silva batting him down on the lineup kind of as that second leadoff, makes sense. But where was the production in the bottom of the order? That was the one thing in the 2021 team that I really did like. You would have a guy like Joe Acker batting maybe 9th.
Yeah.
And there was a guy that was actually, he had the ability to give you some pop in the lineup. So it's almost like if you could take the 21 and the 24 version of this Nebraska team where you had defined roles on the mound from starters to middle relief to closers and be able to take the bottom part of that lineup mixed in with the top half of this lineup and very similar to what you had of the rotation. Those are the things. I guess what I'm saying is from a complete standpoint, you don't need necessarily the Bryce Matthews and the Max Andersons year in and year out, but what you need is more consistency, completeness in that 1 through 9, where at a lot of times this season, this is where I go back to the offense, and I've harped on it pretty much the entire year. That back end of the lineup would almost go silent. And I know they tried different things to shore that up where you would bring a guy down. I think at one point we did see Silva batting like 7th or 8th just so they could provide another base running threat, because that was the type of offense that they wanted to really generate this year, was more on the base path than what they were lacking power wise. But, and we'll get into the recruiting part, because that we need a little bit more time on that one, because I think you bring up the more than anything, the point in the question that depending on who you ask, you will get a different answer of the in-state guys, the elite in-state guys. Yeah. And are they actually gettable, or is this, no matter how successful you can be within the Big Ten Conference, it's just really hard to compete when LSU comes calling, when Vanderbilt comes calling, when Arkansas comes calling.
You almost have to be the bounce back program.
Exactly.
You've got such a great state for high school baseball talent, and guys go elsewhere because this state is recruited, and it's recruited early. I mean, some of these guys committed when they were sophomores. Is you can become a bounce back program, or if guys get away and they go to a junior college, you follow them.
Right.
The Cade Povich is the prime example. Cade Povich should have gone from Bellevue West straight down to Lincoln. He got away, he went to Arizona, and that's one of the first guys Will Bolt said, whoa, this guy can't be leaving. So they went and got him. You've got to manage your roster differently, and then you factor in NIL, draft possibilities. I mean, all of that. I know why they go heavy junior college, and there's nothing to say it hasn't benefited them. It's like you just brought up. How do you convince the elite player in this state that playing in the Big Ten actually can help them, not hurt them?
Right.
That's a hell of a challenge. That is a challenge that you're talking to a wall. The kid might like, hey man, I love Nebraska, but I also love what my future is. And if LSU is calling, if Jay Johnson is in my living room, I'm like, whoa. It's a tricky balance. We're going to get more into this, because what does the new Big Ten look like? And what does Nebraska's commitment to baseball look like? That's a lesson to be learned this weekend down in Stillwater. Did Nebraska's commitment or lack thereof commitment to baseball get exposed this weekend or enhanced? I'm going to give you both sides of it. Coming up a little bit later, Evan Bland will join us as we'll put a bow on this season, and it is far from done. There's going to be a lot of transition. There will probably be guys on this roster you think are coming back that are probably not going to come back, that they're going to recruit over. Nebraska will be very active in the portal, and it will include some in-state guys that are in the portal that they will be active with. Can they convince them that Nebraska is the right place? Because I like Nebraska's pitching depth. Sears is out. McConaughey is an ace. But I like some of the younger arms. They really don't lose a ton of guys. But there are some guys that I think were in their lineup that they probably need to lose, that they need to recruit over. So this is going to be a lot of moving parts with the roster for 25. But I will finish with this before we take a break. Two things I'll ask you about this season, because it did seem like Husker baseball Twitter, the cash fan would drop by, and then the diehard fan would have to slap them.
Yeah.
At times it was an exhausting season.
Yes.
Did you enjoy the year?
Yeah.
Not just last weekend here in Omaha or 3 games in Stillwater. Did you enjoy the season?
Yeah, on the whole I did. The midweeks
for the most
aside,
part.
Yes, because it's nice when you have a team that can look a little sloppy on a Sunday, but can still sweep a series, as opposed to teams of the past where when you played sloppy baseball, you got exposed. So there was a level of Nebraska playing above the competition, even on some of their down days. I don't think that can go dismissed at all. I think overall, yeah, I think it was pretty fun watching this team, especially the way they had to do things offensively compared to trying to generate the power. So yeah, there were more than anything. I think it was fun to watch.
And the other thing is, do you think your assessment of the season matches the player's assessment? If I say Nebraska baseball had a good season, not a great season, good season, and they exceeded expectations if you're looking at preseason and a little bit of the unknowns. Right. If you asked a player, do you think they are saying the same thing I'm saying? I mean, that's a hypothetical, and I don't like hypotheticals, but you see what I'm getting at. Because I wonder how they looked at this season. But here's the bottom line. As Will and his staff get back to Lincoln and they start having their exit meetings, and some guys are shown the door, and some guys are like, we want to keep you here. You're a big part of our program. How do we keep you here? Here's your plan for the summer. Let's get it right. Let's get in the fall. When you put your head on the pillow, if you're Will Bolt, between now and next year, every waking moment has to be, how do I upgrade this roster that next year at this time, somebody taps me on the shoulder and says, man, Haymarket Park sounds like Memorial Stadium when it's packed and it's juiced. Because Nebraska in year 5 needs to be hosting a regional. And you have to exhaust every avenue to help you get there. Scheduling, roster construction, staff management, because Mike Sirianni is going to be up for the Arkansas State job.
Yep.
I mean, is that a key guy that you would have to replace that you really liked in his first year here? I mean, there's a lot of things that are going, but next year's goal, host a regional, because it can be done.
Absolutely.
I mean, it can be done. But then you have to put together a roster that can erase 19 years of not getting out of a regional. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Peter is in for Jimmy. We're back with more after this on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time Saving Traffic Center. Starting to see heavier traffic in the Omaha Metro. No accidents to report. There's delays on the westbound I-80 exit ramp towards 144th. Slow goings on eastbound Dodge from I-680 to 72nd. There's a disabled vehicle in the right shoulder of westbound I-80 after 84th. Everything else is smooth sailing at the moment. I'll keep you updated throughout the morning once traffic starts picking up. Be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
Time-saving traffic is brought to you by Omaha Transmission.
If you're having transmission problems, you need a specialist. Call Omaha Transmission and see why people have been recommending them for almost 20 years.
Omaha Transmission. Chaser, shifting to running smooth.
When it comes to protecting your home, Jay Stennett Contracting takes pride in ensuring every detail is handled. Roofing, siding, gutters. When it comes to the exterior of your home, Jay Stennett Contracting has you covered. Water, wind, and hail can wreak havoc on the exterior of your home. If your home is damaged, let Jay Stennett Contracting come out for a no-obligation inspection. If repairs are needed, they will help you through every step of the process. When you need an honest assessment, Jay Stennett Contracting has you covered. JSCRestoration.com.
For the second year, the Nebraska Lottery's NASCAR Powerball Playoff promotion has roared into our state, and the excitement is throttling up. Until June 24th, buy a Powerball ticket with Power Play and Double Play. Enter the voucher number, and you could be one of 15 Nebraska winners of $1,000 and the chance to win a VIP trip to the NASCAR Cup Series Championship weekend, plus a shot at $1 million. Enter today. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like rowing upstream, but it's a river, a whitewater river, and the only paddles you have are pool noodles. Then when a new to-do pops up, you're like, nope, I'm already rowing upstream with these pool noodle paddles. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to get personalized discounts with a commercial auto insurance quote online, so your to-do list is smooth sailing. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverages and discounts not available in all states and subject to policy terms and underwriting.
Email unsportsmanlike conduct on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox with whatever is on your mind, from your hot takes to what you think is one. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Many people go back to the dealership out of habit or because they think the dealer is the only one who knows how to fix their car. At Omaha Car Care, we offer a better option. We have ASE certified technicians, the technology to service any vehicle, and free loaner cars. The dealer will sell you a package of services. We'll provide the service you want for your car as your trusted partner. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Update time Monday edition. Let's get into it.
What's going on in the world, Peter?
Stanley Cup final. It is set. Not exactly close together, but the Florida Panthers will take on the Edmonton Oilers. Florida took out New York in Game 6 as the President's Trophy curse continues. And Edmonton advanced last night to their first Stanley Cup final since 2006 with a Game 6 win. Game 1 of this series is Saturday. Nebraska baseball season came to an end Sunday with a 17-11 loss to Florida in the Stillwater Regional. They wrap up this year at 40-22 with a Big Ten tournament championship to boot. 5 regionals are still yet to be determined in the NCAA baseball tournament. As far as matchups that are locked in, we have NC State, Georgia in the Supers, Virginia, Kansas State, and Texas A&M and Oregon.
Whoa, a team from the Midwest is in the Super?
K-State, a team that got no hit by Nebraska and Jackson Brockett.
Yeah.
You know what? Going back to a point I just made, when you have a lot of things against you. Now they play in the Big 12, and K-State was preseason top 25.
Yep.
Man, you got to have a dude in the dugout, and Pete Hughes is a dude.
Mm-hmm.
Go Kansas State. You know what? I was so happy when Wake Forest got knocked out because Wake Forest is boring.
Yeah.
They don't bring anybody. They're boring. Virginia. Love Brian O'Connor. I'm glad he's on the statue. I'm glad he got a national championship. Virginia's boring.
They are.
Kansas State would
It's like
be
basketball, too.
Kansas State would be kind of interesting here.
Yeah, Virginia sports just kind of have a boring brand, don't they?
They got some national championships that they can
do.
show for, but
Now,
but you're right.
I'm telling you, some of the most successful people out there are boring.
Yeah.
And they've won a national title, and they have a big time baseball program. But I want stories, and I want fans, and I want atmosphere. I want fun.
And you know what? This is the one thing from a takeaway of weekend baseball. We got to see a lot more of it than what you will see this weekend in the Super Regionals. Every team from doubles to just the smallest things. College baseball, man, they're having fun. Everybody's having fun. They encourage that. It's a brand that at one point in my life I'm like, oh man, there's way too much going on. You guys need to just pipe down and play the game. But now you know what? Everybody's getting into it. It draws fans in. It's exciting, especially with everything going on in college athletics. That was a great weekend. It was a good look for baseball. Just the amount of character, personality, a lot of those post-game interviews, good stuff.
Great weekend. Just reiterates the point that college baseball coaches like to bunt. They like to bunt.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you have not met a college baseball coach, and within the first 5 minutes, if he doesn't talk about the art of bunting, and I'm not talking about the stuff they put up, the red, white, and blue.
The bunting. Yeah.
College baseball coaches love their bunts.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina State, Georgia is going to be a banger of a super.
That'll be good.
That'd be the one that I would go to.
Yep. We do get another dose of LSU North Carolina tonight. That's probably
good time slot, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
You also get Oklahoma, UConn.
Yep, UConn. How about it?
What would that do to Creighton? Nebraska wins their conference tournament on their home field, and what if UConn made the College World Series playing on Creighton's home field?
Yeah. Ooh. Ugh. And then just to kind of stick the knife in, Danny Hurley shows up to root on UConn. Uh-huh.
Oh wow!
And Gary would find him to do a little interview.
So the Big East.
You would talk to Danny Hurley, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big East 3-3. Big Ten went 3-6.
Mm-hmm. It was a good Friday sans Nebraska. If you want to include new Big Ten, Oregon that went 3-1 because I like to lump Oregon in there. We're close enough to July 1st.
Boy, did the Big Ten get spanked yesterday.
But then reality.
Every game.
Reality sank in.
Hey,
Nebraska's
89 days away.
was
Big
mostly
Ten will be
competitive.
back, baby. We're a football conference.
The Women's College World Series continues today, and we're a couple games away from a Red River Finals.
Yes.
Both
Most
Texas
likely
and
happening.
Oklahoma, 0 losses heading into the finals of each of those respective brackets.
All right. Is that it, Peter?
Oh
no.
I had 2 more.
Okay.
I think these are interesting. Storm Chasers.
I'll judge that.
The Storm Chasers won their 6th straight game.
That is interesting.
The second time they have won 6 in a row this year, and they now lead the International League by 5.5 with 3 weeks left in the first half of the regular season.
Yeah, they're 39-16.
Yeah, they are on a tear and looking to lock up a spot in the postseason. And then more Caitlin Clark.
AAA postseason.
Yeah.
I think they do get $1 million.
Quote unquote postseason now that it's essentially just a quick little playoff between two teams and then a one-off game. But
hey, it's something. Yeah, and if there's some financial incentive there too, come on. Let's go.
I apologize if I don't even know if I'm doing this correctly. Is it Kennedy Carter? Kennedy? Is the H
Carter.
silent?
Kennedy, yeah.
Okay.
Kennedy Carter.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who she was until Saturday.
Until she goes,
gotta do a little bit of a tussle with Caitlin Clark. A hip check flagrant 1 that was later added to it, a flagrant 1, not called at the time. And then when asked about it, post game said, "I am not answering any Caitlin Clark questions besides 3-point shooting. What does she bring to the table?"
Oh.
Do we think that this is good?
It is good
for the WNBA.
I think it's very good. I think the more trash talking you have going on, especially with the rookie class and especially with Caitlin Clark,
thing was overblown.
I think the more people are doing a little jawing when it comes to Caitlin Clark and Caitlin Clark having to respond, it makes headlines. People talk about it. People are watching the WNBA right now.
Okay.
I think the Fever just need
they need
someone to step in.
What they need is a
Well,
day
they-
off.
they-
Every,
yeah.
it
What, have
seems
they
like
played
the Indiana
11
Fever
games?
play every single day.
Yep, and you hear about it.
Well,
For a team that's won 2
that's
games.
why Caitlin Clark is exhausting. Every time she plays a game or something happens, I get 46 think pieces on the internet, or I get a referendum. It's exhausting, man. I think Saturday was overblown. We'll see if we have time to go into this. I got some thoughts on that. I will give her credit for this. With basically no time off, and she is getting the respect. I mean, you come hard at the rookies. She is having a great year, except for last night, which they were on the back end of a back-to-back playing on the road in New York, and she had like her worst game as a pro. She actually has been pretty good on a team that is brutal. And they'll have Paige Beckers next year. They'll be better next year. I can't wait to watch her in year 2. She goes and plays for Team USA. She might have 7,000 assists because she'll be playing with players that are used to catching passes like that. So she actually is playing really well, considering she has had no time off and the spotlight is on her, and she looks so uncomfortable in the whole fit check stuff. Like she looks like
that's a really good point.
She looks like the young lady that would like to just wear a hoodie and joggers and walk into the arena. But now you have to have the fashion. She's walking into Brooklyn last night, and I don't know what that outfit was, but she looks so uncomfortable.
Somebody accompanied that walk-in last night with the caption, "My wife coming down in her pajamas, picking up her $20 coffee she ordered on DoorDash."
I mean, but all things considered, she's having a really, really good year on a bad team that I agree with you, Peter, needs an enforcer. So,
and you're right. She just has not had. It's just been one thing to the next. Deep run in the postseason.
Well, in their schedule,
right?
I mean, they
did not
played,
do them any
they played
favors.
11 games in 20 days. They are on all the time.
Yes, they are.
Like I think they'd play every single day. I think they're playing today. They just got back from New York. I think they're playing today.
Probably are. Probably playing in a matinee.
All right. Thanks, Peter.
You're welcome.
By the way, when you hang out with people that are not from the Midwest, you have discussions about certain idiosyncrasies that we have in the Midwest.
Yeah, like the weather.
Well, I think that's the go-to. I think that's even the go-to from one Nebraskan to another.
It's probably true.
Do you know that in other parts of the country that they do not put their extra napkins in the glove department?
Oh,
you know how?
Why is that considered?
This is very much a Midwestern thing.
Yeah.
Like you go, some places still give you an abundance of napkins, and so the extra napkins you put in your glove box.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, that's a Midwestern thing. That
Really?
doesn't. Yeah, that's
They're not doing that out
happening
in Vegas or in Florida.
No.
Jokes on them.
No, I mean it's one of the cool things about living in the Midwest.
So what happens when
as we always have extra napkins in case you spill something.
You spill something, or
you need to blow your nose.
Yeah, blow your nose. I use that more with blown nose or having a sneeze and like I need the Kleenex or the napkin that I have stockpiled.
Oh no, I just drove through and
We're
they
doing
didn't give me any napkins.
We're doing a
You know,
road
place-
trip to Michigan this week, and we realized that my wife's car, which we're taking, does not have any napkins in there, so we're going to make sure we stockpile in there.
You know a place that still gives you an abundance of extra napkins?
Taco Bell.
That and Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, really? Okay.
You might get like an iced coffee, and they give you like a stack of napkins.
Throw them in the glove box. That's what they say when they give
I think
you
they think that.
I am, I am from the Midwest.
You're
They are
coming through the
looking out for
drive-through?
you.
Yes. Good on them.
Ross writes into the Equitable Bank inbox. I wasn't here last week, so you guys are going to have to add a little context to this.
Okay.
I don't really care about baseball. Well, I don't care about your Ohio State Buckeyes. But the performance of the team after the local media hyped them up as CWS contenders last week was typical. Now, before I read more,
I'm trying to think if anybody
were they hyped as a CWS contender.
somebody.
Let's call them out by name.
Who was the
Are they on this radio station?
Nope.
Were they on this show?
Nope. There was a national writer though that did. It was a national writer, and it wasn't even a local person that did put Nebraska in the College
I
World
think
Series.
someone filled out a D1 baseball bracket in the national right. I can't.
It was a
remember
national
the,
writer.
I
Yeah,
can't
I-
remember the name.
Oh no!
Yeah.
You know who it's Ben Upton from 11-7.
That might be it. That might be what I'm thinking
he
of.
had
Yeah.
Nebraska playing in the College World Series.
Yes.
I think that was Ben.
Yeah. No, it was nobody
Okay,
here. In
okay.
fact, I didn't have him
You have
getting out of this
you have to
regional.
understand, we are in this weird time where with Nebraska athletics, we are more cautious in state than out of state. Because
We are.
if you go somewhere this summer and you run into somebody and you tell them you're from Omaha and you hope they know it's Nebraska, people are talking about Nebraska football.
Mm-hmm.
Not of, oh, man, remember the good old days? They're like, hey, I hear you guys, I hear Phil Steele might have you ranked.
Mm-hmm.
So people are outside of here are more optimistic about our sports teams than we are inside. And usually it's the opposite. But more from Ross here.
Things have changed.
Just like football, overestimating the talent on the roster, not understanding what exists outside of the state of at other programs. Revisit this after football losses to Rutgers or Indiana. Honestly, a lot of parallels between Husker football and baseball. Very similar ceilings. Whoa. Vehemently disagree. The conference are different when it comes to getting a bump.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, everybody in the Big Ten is going to take advantage of that bump they're going to get from playing football in the Big Ten. The committee will love them some Big Ten football. The committee is like, oh, man, do we have to get the quota of 3
for
Big Ten baseball?
Big Ten baseball is an afterthought. When it comes to the national baseball perspective.
So I don't want to speak for our local media. Many of them are friends. I have great respect for all but one person in the local media. And that's pretty well documented. We're not in the same market. I don't think anybody said this was a CWS contender.
No, not locally.
If you were doing that, you were not doing your job riding the wave of last week.
Right.
They were number 2 seed. But I think this was going to be a challenge because Oklahoma State's really good. That's why I'm still amazed that Florida won last night to get a do-or-die game today. That's impressive. Because that was Oklahoma State's number 3 is not a bad pitcher. And I thought Florida was out of arms. Hell, they brought in a guy yesterday to pitch against Nebraska. Hadn't even pitched, really.
No, he hadn't pitched. I think
he pitched 1 game all season,
and he
didn't get any outs.
It was like in early May.
They had 2 guys that had injuries. One from it looked like the strain, and then
that was
ball
odd.
that ricocheted off.
Yeah,
that was odd.
I just didn't think they'd have enough guys.
No, and the fact that not to even jump off of your point there, but the way that they won, it wasn't like they outslug. Like I just assume anything that Florida did from here on out in victory lane would be they're outslugging their opponents. That was actually a pretty solid defensive, tight-knit game.
We harped on that a lot last week, that for as much slack as the committee got for putting the Gators in there, there is a lot to be said about how much they win in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter really what their regular season record was.
Except for Billy Napier. Okay.
Let's get Brian Edwards on.
One thing that watching the regional this weekend and that ballpark, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Man, Nebraska's last 2 regionals, they have played in palaces at Baum and O'Brate. Everybody loves saying O'Brate. O'Brate
Thinking
Stadium.
about Trez gets fancy, he says O'Brate.
O'Brate Stadium
Yeah.
is, we do not have any oil or gas money in this state, do we? We do not have any pump jacks. We've got all these turbo things along the interstate. What the hell are they called?
The turbo things along the interstate. You mean like a charging station?
No. You're driving along the power, the windmills, the turbo, the
wind turbines?
Wind turbines.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So
You're from Iowa. Come on. Jeez.
We are the home of the wind turbine.
If anybody you should know, you should know, man.
By the way, if you're ever flying from Detroit into Omaha and you fly through that part of Iowa when you cut and you get low enough,
it
is nothing but wind turbines that you're flying over.
Looks like you're going into like a chopping field.
So instead of wind turbines, what we need to help Nebraska athletics is we need to replace them with pump jacks. But we don't have any oil and gas money.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State is such a benefit from oil and gas money.
Are you calling it a pump jack? Is that like an oil rig?
Yeah.
Okay, you call it a pump jack?
Yeah.
Is that common? Is that a common term used? I always thought it was just a rig.
I've
got a derrick, an oil rig or an oil derrick.
That one dream I had of being out in the ocean on a rig. Yeah. I learned all about pump jacks.
Pump jacks. All right. I like that.
So, but we don't have
I did not know that. I've seen pictures. I didn't know
we
that's
do not have any oil or gas money, right?
No, I don't believe it. Nothing significant.
How come
we can talk to Casey's.
How come other places have all of these individual big $100 million donors, but Nebraska for their athletics can't find that person?
Well, we have one. He's a little bit more tight with his money. That's why he's a billionaire. And that's old Warren. I mean, he's not an alum, so we can't really put that on him either.
So on the heels of that, And I also just wanted to say pump jack.
I love that. To hell with oil decks, oil derricks, or rigs. I'm not going to say that anymore. I'm going to say pump jacks.
I don't know many derricks.
Oil derrick. An oil derrick. It's the same thing as an oil rig.
I did watch the movie Stillwater.
I don't think. What
I actually kind of like the movie Stillwater.
What's it about? When did it come out? I've never even heard of Stillwater, the movie. What is it? Is it about docuseries on Mike Gundy?
It's about a game that was played in Memorial Stadium where, what if I told you Oklahoma State football would score 42 points and lose by 3 touchdowns? No.
Oh, Matt Damon movie.
Yeah, Matt Damon.
Never seen it. Was this recent?
Good reviews.
2021.
Okay.
Not bad.
An American oil rig roughneck travels to France to visit his estranged daughter in prison for a murder she claims she didn't commit.
This sounds juicy. I might have to watch this. Okay.
But let me pose this to you. Thank you, Adam. Somebody needs to reach out to Tenaska, Northern Natural Gas, and Mid-American Energy.
Hey, Northern Natural Gas, you hear them a lot during a lot of Omaha sporting events. They're usually a game night sponsor.
Why can't we take Memorial Stadium off the facade and just put up Tenaska?
Ooh, Tenaska Field.
Because Oklahoma State's got the oil and gas money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not joking here. You look at Boone Pickens Stadium. Yeah. Oh, great. It's oil and gas money. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma State's got a lot of it. Nebraska's struggling for some money, people. Will Bolt wants this, and this. They got to do some of the football stadium first.
Yeah.
Now, considering if you're judging what kind of a job Will Bolt is doing. So it's 4 years. Number one goal was to get to the NCAA tournament. They did.
Mm-hmm.
Along the way, they finished second in the regular season. They get to hang a banner at Haymarket Park for winning the Big Ten tournament. And I think they've got good footing for 2025, but they got to figure out parts of the roster. What if I told you Nebraska just went 40-22 in a conference that is somewhat of an afterthought for baseball, even though they were fourth in the RPI? Nebraska's spending is 7th on baseball, behind Michigan and Iowa, and you are about to add a program that is going to the Super Regional for the second straight year that is the number one spender in baseball in the Big Ten. Nebraska is 7th. 7th. Do you know who they are ahead of? Wisconsin. You know why they're ahead of Wisconsin?
Because Wisconsin doesn't play baseball.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because
so is Will.
He's going to start making the PJ Fleck proclamations of, please see our collective right now. I would say this about Nebraska baseball. There are, and this goes into a different conversation when it comes to recruiting, but I think there's always been this perception. I know you've talked about this before, even when it happened. We've all talked about it in the local media. When Nebraska made that transition into the Big Ten, there was this belief that Nebraska would just essentially show the Big Ten how you play baseball. All right, this is how we did it in the Big 12. We've got the College World Series appearances to show for it. This is how you do business when it comes to the sport of baseball, and we're going to bring that to the Big Ten. Y'all need to follow us. You need to catch up, and let's go. Well, as we've always seen in those transitions into conferences, you become more subject to the product of the conference, not necessarily you being able to kind of put your own spin on it as soon as you get there. The spending part of it, I think, is also another interesting stereotype of what we assume, or maybe a common misconception when it comes to Nebraska baseball, is they are going to care more about baseball than anybody else in the Big Ten. Okay, well, what shows that a university, its athletic department, care the most about a certain sport compared to its peers? And you just talked about it right there, spending. How much resources financially are you putting into a baseball program? What are you doing to constantly stay on top? This was a great year from the regular season to the tournament of what you can say, all right, finish runner-up in the regular season, damn near almost won the regular season, and then you follow that up with a conference tournament. Okay, well, then the question is, how do you stay at that level to where even on your down years, maybe you finish no further than third? Well, resources that go into it. You have upgrades of your stadium. You have facilities when it comes to your training. all of those little things. There's a lot of science, and Nebraska Athletics spends money when it comes to their athletic programs, when it comes to the sports science of it. But as far as the individual sport itself, the things that could matter when it comes to trying to win over certain recruits, or even the conversation we had about bounce backs, because I think I'm with you, Gary. I think that's more of the elite players in the state that you don't get originally that you have a chance to get. It's the amount of commitment financially that you're showing, where I think people just assumed that if Nebraska's not spending the most, they're definitely in the top 3 in the Big Ten. When you're towards the bottom half, that is very surprising. It's very, very surprising. I don't know how many people realize that when it comes to the financial resources that are going into Nebraska baseball right now.
And this might be a bigger story about money for Nebraska athletics. I got a stadium project. Are we in a money crunch? Well, what we need is Mr. O'Brate to put a bunch of pump jacks or Conoco or Phillips 66 in the state of Nebraska, make some money and build some things.
Can we get to Southern Nebraska?
It's amazing. It's amazing at OU and Oklahoma State how they benefit from oil and gas money. I'm not complaining. I mean, God bless them. That's the part of the country they live in. And that is the lifeblood of that state. But they also have people that have reinvested into athletics. Nebraska's never really gotten, Dan Cook and the late Dan Cook, who was a Cook Pavilion, was a huge booster, lived down in Dallas, generous man, super, super nice. Love Nebraska. He would do anything for Nebraska. He has passed away a few years ago. Nebraska has really never had the Boone Pickens.
Yeah. The ones that you're going to see names on stadiums, because whether it's tradition or not to be called Memorial Stadium or this stadium or that stadium, they give you a large enough check that you're like, we don't care, because what you just did for us is a game changer. You're right. I mean, you've had the Howard Hawks. You've had a lot of,
and he has been more than generous.
Absolutely,
with the athletic program,
with
and
athletics
in the university,
right, throughout the system, really. But having that, it's amazing on those types of projects. First of all, how you can fast track them, and how you're able to all of a sudden look at. I would consider we've had the conversation about Haymarket Park a lot. That you could turn a ballpark that is still fairly adequate, but it's starting to fall behind a little bit. You look at O'Brate Stadium and use that as an example this weekend. I mean, that's a palace. Other than it being a launching pad, that place, I don't know what it doesn't have. And so you see those people stepping up, and this is when it comes to even, hey, not only am I an alum, or not only am I a big supporter of University of Nebraska Lincoln athletics, but I love that baseball program. So I want, hey, Will, what do you want? I know you got to work with the Salt Dogs on this. I want to help that. In fact, I saw what you guys played in last weekend. I saw when you guys were out in Fayetteville. I want you guys to play in something like that.
I'm telling you, you might have to get in line. I'll explain it. I just watching that facility that they were in. I think Will's going to have to get in line. I don't think he's at the forefront.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, but he respects the fans, but he wants something before the fans get something. And I absolutely agree with him. Well, I'll explain a little bit later. Iowa JD's on me now. We turned into political radio. So you're saying now Biden needs to get his climate initiatives ramped up so that it drains the South of oil money. Hey, you know what? If this was posted on a message board, that would show up on the Twitter account, Message Board Geniuses. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Peter is in for Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Hey! No, I'm not going to sing. The NBA Finals are here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to win alongside the champions, because right now, new customers, you can get $200 in bonus bets with a winning $5 bet. So that's $200 to use on same-game parlays, live bets, and so much more. Dallas is a 6.5-point underdog. Boston is minus 225 to win the series, Nick.
Luka! And that is $150 to use on bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Same game parlays, live bets, championship futures, and so much more. It all gets underway on Thursday. So get on the action now. No better place to bet all of the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Go to FanDuel.com. Use the promo code ZONE to get started. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in Iowa. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable. Bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. The Connor Happer Show.
Grant Brick's a smile.
Yeah, what do you think's going on?
It's very big.
That looks like a guy who's just happy he ate 21 tacos.
He really does look pleased with himself.
The sunglasses, the giant sombrero, the whole thing. That guy walked over there from his house. I'd like to all-you-can-eat tacos, please. And then he just said, keep them coming.
We're back, baby. The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone.
Warm and muggy start to the week Monday. Expect partly sunny skies. Can't rule out a stray shower or storm late afternoon and evening, though most will remain dry. Highs in the mid to upper 80s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time Saving Traffic Center. Starting to see heavier traffic in the Omaha Metro, but no accidents to report. There's delays on westbound I-80 at the exit ramp to 144th. Slow goings on westbound 370 between 144th and I-80. Heavy traffic in both directions on 204th between Harrison and Dodge. Everything else is smooth sailing at the moment. Just be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Lanahaw Nurseries.
No better time than now to focus on your garden or landscape. Come shop Lanahaw's Garden Center, filled with the area's best quality plants, flowers, and trees. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lanahaw Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America NA.
We're recording this Progressive commercial on a real boat to let people know that when you bundle your home, boat, and other vehicles...
What was that, Flo?
Progressive saves you money, Jamie!
Why are we doing this on a boat?
We were going for authenticity!
We're going to the city?
Authenticity!
You mean Atlantic City? But we're not in the Atlantic! Are we?
Bundle your home and other vehicles with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Velocity Clinical Research in Omaha frequently conducts clinical trials for a broad range of investigational treatments. Velocity is currently seeking participants to wear a Fitbit watch for 31 days with compensation of up to $200. Some other current studies includes low T, COPD, flu, pediatric, infant, and RSV. They also perform vaccine studies for people of all ages. See current trials at velocityclinicaltrials.com, compensation for study-related time and travel, and find out more at velocityclinicaltrials.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Success in today's electrical market requires your company to be able to adjust to an ever-changing field. A partnership with IBEW Local 22 gives you that flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, proven training programs, marketing assistance, entry into markets not available before, ability to expand and contract with changing market conditions, and a benefits package for you and your employees. Contact Bob at IBEW Local 22 for additional details at 402-980-7596.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferees at John Higgins WeatherGuard.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Did you guys see? Maybe you didn't, because I used to interview him, and he got under the skin of Nebraska fans, so the corn mob went after him on social media. TJ Simers passed away. He was a long-time, celebrated, very sarcastic sports columnist for the LA Times, who, when Nebraska played out in the Rose Bowl, went after Nebraska. I mean, people that are from the West or East Coast, they make fun of what we do for a living.
Sure.
So I just want to read this. So TJ Simers passed away over the weekend at the age of 73. He had been retired for a while from the LA Times. He wrote this. So he came here for the USC game in 07.
Oh, God.
He said 4 days until USC sends an entire state into mourning. And after a quick stop in Plainview, the clown capital of Nebraska, and 153 more miles, it's time to join two more corn cobs in Burwell. Max and Debbie Emerton seem to be a cheery pair, even though they live between mile markers 51 and 50 in the middle of a cornfield. Friends and neighbors have advised Debbie they aren't happy she has chosen to invite the trash-talking sports writer to town. Obviously, they must think Bill Plaschke is coming. Funny, though, whether it's the old codger in Elgin or folks out in the backwoods, no one seems to like Bill Callahan either, or whoever the Nebraska athletic director is these days. You don't think Mike Garrett has a brother who is working at Nebraska, do you? Debbie is cooking dinner in a can in the front yard. They call it cream can here, a Nebraska delicacy. And those two words have probably never appeared in a sentence before. She stuffs corn, cabbage, onions, Polish sausage, carrots, and beer into an old cream can, and everyone drinks beer while waiting for dinner to cook. No one seems in a hurry to eat. Family friend Bill Klimick is explaining why folks aren't as crazy about their Huskers as some might suggest, while also telling about the time he dreamed he was catching the pass that hadn't been caught in the '84 Orange Bowl, falling out of bed, cutting open his head, and leaving a scar. Folks here aren't over the top about their Huskers or how great it is to live 15 miles from the nearest neighbor, which, come to think of it, sounds pretty good. Someone suggests doing some Blue Rock, but Max thinks it's probably not a good idea to have irritated Husker fans arrive with shotguns to shoot clay targets or anything else that they might have in mind. TJ Simers passed away at the age of 73.
What an account right there. Wow.
When Nebraska played out there for the Rose Bowl, I mean, he was like, I don't know how you guys are going to manage with your tractors on I-5. The 5 isn't going to be conducive to them tractors. And of course, the corn mob then went nuts on TJ Simers.
The low-hanging fruit.
But he has passed away over the weekend at the age of 73.
Can you imagine if Twitter was, it wasn't even around when Nebraska was last in the Rose Bowl in the national championship game?
We had him on Sports Nightly.
Did you?
Yeah, and he was true to his shtick.
Yeah.
So
good for him, though. Good for him.
I got his shtick.
Yeah.
And I gave it back.
Yeah.
But a lot of the listeners did not.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an uncomfortable after he was off the air. People calling in.
Yeah.
Did you see while the rain delay was going on in Stillwater, the delay clock that they put on the board?
Yeah. So they've done that. I was watching. Are you talking about just at O'Brate Stadium or what they have on the broadcasts?
My God, we have said the word O'Brate on this show
in Stillwater. I'll try to steer clear.
Do they get a royalty?
They might. We should all get a cut of it too.
People love saying O'Brate.
O'Brate Stadium.
O'Brate. You don't even know who Mr. O'Brate is,
no.
But O'Brate sounds good.
Didn't even know what it was. Just knew that's the name of the stadium.
I noticed that during the rain delay, like the pictures that were being sent out, whether it be from Evan Bland, who will join us here in about 30 minutes, Grant Hansen. Good luck to Grant, by the way, from On3. Great job. Going to have a bright future in this business. or Matt from Channel 7, they would take pictures of the scoreboard and they had the countdown clock on it.
Of the last lightning strike.
Yeah. I wonder if we can get that, if by chance we have that during the College World Series, if they will put that up downtown at the Chuck.
It wasn't in Stillwater. I was watching a game earlier this year. It had to be an SEC game because it was a Thursday night. I want to say maybe it was Chapel Hill. I think they also have something similar, which I'm starting to think is more common with the technology, because think about if you're trying to keep your crowd engaged, they're going to, for the most part, follow protocol, but they with these scoreboards, especially there in Stillwater, see, I didn't say it, big enough to where you can see it in the parking lot. And so you have an idea of when at the very least could be another update. Or if you go to the bathroom, you come back and you see that clock, it went back. You're like, damn it, there must have been another lightning strike. I think it's starting to become common to where you can maintain a little bit more of your crowd as long as they know what's going on. Because so many times we're checking Twitter if we're not at the game and we're trying to find out, okay, is there going to be any type of update? Well, at least you have an idea of when the last strike was. So, okay, even if they're not going to resume as that clock gets down to 0, there's at least going to be an update and maybe an announcement that you can make sure you're nearby so you can hear. So I love the idea, but I'm pretty sure it was Chapel Hill that I saw that as well. It would have been back in May, like a Thursday night game. I hope more. I think Haymarket could do it.
Yes. I mean, they've invested in the video board. So the investment in baseball, which again, you got to get in line. I mean, they had John Cook just got a bump, which he deserved, but you got some football things you got to work on.
Yep.
You got a track you got to finish. Nebraska baseball has a laundry list of things that they would like. And I'm sure after being in Stillwater, just like Fayetteville, Will's got another addition to the list. I would hope that if that's your sport, if you are the sports supervisor out of the athletic department for baseball, and you see the amount of fans that went to Stillwater, the amount of fans that were in Omaha, the kind of facility you were playing in, you'd be like, man, could this be us on a consistent basis? And then you have that thing that sits on your shoulder and go, no, you're in the Big Ten. But so the fans will flock to Haymarket Park. It's still a vibrant facility that parts of it look 20 years old, but it's still a functional facility.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with upgrades for baseball. And what's the Troy Dannon line? Will it help us win?
Right.
I don't think upgrading a suite at Haymarket Park will help Nebraska win, because fans are still going to come.
Yeah.
Nebraska fans are they're on the cusp of wanting something so bad to get back to the days of the run to Omaha, hosting regionals, hosting super regionals. So fans are there. I mean, look at this weekend. There were Nebraska fans everywhere. Oklahoma State, Nebraska fans. They were reuniting. It was the Big 8, Big 12.
Including Jazz
Gary Ward and John Sanders were talking somewhere. But this is the number one thing, is Will would like a pitching lab. They have some of the best technological advances in athletics and in sports medicine at Nebraska. He would just like a pitching lab. Of course, he'd like some things done to the facility, but he's going to be selfish, and he should be. I need things for my team. I need a pitching lab, and then I want my guys to get dressed in a nice clubhouse.
Yep.
And also, when I bring that recruit onto campus, they can see the commitment we have to baseball. Because the facility, they're not going to get into the nuts and bolts and go sit in a seat and go, it seems to be a little bit tight. That video board.
It'd be cool if they did.
That video board, yeah. Okay. You don't have grills out in the outfield. Okay.
But you do have a party porch.
The recruit is not going to be that.
Right.
But that recruit that goes, you guys have a pitching lab and you have a really nice you guys must have a commitment to baseball financially. So those are what I think are up for baseball. But I just keep going back to, where is Nebraska going to get this money to do these projects? Where is that money for Nebraska athletics to help with everybody that's got their hand out? Where's that at? And who is that? And don't tell me it's Buffett, because Warren Buffett is not driving into Lincoln in a Honda Accord to save the day. We're well past that.
The interesting part of what you just brought up, go back to what Troy Dannon has asked when it comes to facility upgrades, is it going to help us win? I would agree that if there are certain tweaks that you make to the concourse or to suites or how the outfield seating is laid out, none of that, it should even be first and foremost a chief concern for Will Bolton. I don't think it is. I think I think if you're a fan that went down to Stillwater, or if you were in Fayetteville back in 21, you see that and you think, gosh, I'd love to have that. We would love to have that. But what you brought up about the more internal, the things that you're not going to see as a fan when you show up to Haymarket Park, because this is all going to be internal structure of performance enhancing labs, of pitching labs. You've got the sports science through the athletic department that's already there. But also, I'm watching the selection show, and I remember Tennessee and LSU. There was a handful of teams that had their live watch party going on, and it was in their clubhouse. And you're looking at those clubhouses, you're like, damn, that's pretty impressive. You could not pull that off inside Haymarket Park of what Nebraska had. Nor would you want to. Because, think about those selection Sundays are also not the majority of it is for, but part of that is also a show for recruits too, of how you take the news, where you're watching the news. Does it look like a fun vibe? And I'm noticing that every time that they would go to certain places, certain schools that were inside their facilities, inside their clubhouse, thinking, damn, that's pretty nice. So I'm thinking of those two things alone. That to me is something that, I think it helps you win, because it does help you draw recruits. Then when you start to become that program that we saw this year, where if you're not winning the regular season, you're right there. And when it comes to tournament time in your home state, in your second home, you're right there on that final Sunday, either hoisting a trophy or you're in that championship game. If that is a consistent thing, all of a sudden between the internal improvements that you've made within your facilities, then you can start asking for the fan experience, the upgrades in the stadium itself, because you're already winning. You've created that baseline, and now you can ask for that.
Absolutely agree with you. Win and it comes.
Yes.
So that's like the football thing at Nebraska. Like, do you wait to win before you donate, or do you donate and then just hope you'll win? Now the vibe is much different with football.
Absolutely, football's a completely different thing.
But I don't think it's like completely different. But I think in the current state where the vibe is better, where you might be able to recruit a kid without winning,
right,
or get a booster to step up without showing wins yet. Nebraska baseball probably has to have another season before they can, swat away soccer. John Walker, get the hell out the way.
Right.
Or, you know what? Hey, Cook, take care of your horses, man. I need to move closer to the reception line for the athletic director to put in my wants and needs.
Right.
All you have to see is, and this is where it may take Nebraska having a great season in 25, hosting a regional, what that's like again in Lincoln, how enormous that is, the advantage. Hosts are 39-10 in the NCAA tournament. 39-10.
Yeah, it matters.
Okay. The sold out crowds, the excitement, the mascot flashing a pitcher like Smokey, the Tennessee mascot, did last night for the Southern Miss pitcher. Now, I'm not sure how Smokey is built up there, but he lifted up his
very
baseball
confident.
jersey and
very confident.
The pitcher threw a ball. ABS may have said it was a strike. But it may take getting to a regional next year to say, this is what we can do. And we can go a step further, or it says, you know what, man, you guys are over. You guys, look at this, man. We don't have to spend a lot of money and you're winning. Go get them, Will. It's a weird dynamic when I sit and watch what Oklahoma State has in a baseball conference and Nebraska wanting to be a baseball program, but they're labeled as a Big Ten conference.
Yep.
Here's what happens. This is where this program changes. And again, I said earlier, when Will lays his head down at night, it has to be, how do we host a regional? What do we do with the roster? What do we do with the schedule that we are hosting a regional in 2025? But also, how do we get our program where they just referred to us as a program that plays baseball in the Midwest and we're not labeled Big Ten? Because I'm also like Warren Buffett isn't driving in the Camry to Lincoln to save the day and drop $100 million on Troy Dannon's desk. The Big Ten ain't walking in the door, folks, with baseball and saying, "Oh my God, Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA, you save us."
Yeah, now we can take baseball serious.
Because there's one program that does take baseball serious. There is a program recently in UCLA. It's won a national championship, but they are whoop, like maybe your 401k. Whoop. So can you get your program where you're not referred to as from the Big Ten? You're just a really good baseball program that's located in the middle of America, where it doesn't matter that you play in the Big Ten. You're just really good.
It's a good point because think about
Thank you.
The consistency. And for a team that, hey, we just saw in Omaha this year get swept by Creighton, but a team that all of a sudden put every bit of fight into that Clemson Regional in Coastal Carolina. How many people do you think even would tell you what conference Coastal Carolina's in? Now, if Sun Belt is good.
Yeah. But no, your point is valid.
Because you start to think of the brand. And I don't want to say Nebraska's brand is more of a Cinderella type, but you had to start paying attention to Coastal Carolina in the last decade now. When you'd see a top 25 rolled out, you just expected Coastal Carolina to be in that without even knowing what conference they were in. Nebraska, that's the beauty about Nebraska, if you can start to get to that level. And think about this. In 2021, you had this great season. They were getting a lot of the attention because they put Arkansas, the overall number one seed, on the brink. Connor and I were talking about this on Thursday. The fact that winner-take-all Monday night game was actually a 2-0 game late in favor of Nebraska. There was a lot of talk about that. So how do you get the things that you want, whether it's on Will Bolt's wish list?
You know what happened after that? And this is a Nebraska athletic thing right now. Not all the sports. There are a couple of sports that just banger after banger after banger is what did you do the following year when you had the momentum?
That's my point.
When you're selling season tickets off of, hey, we came close against Arkansas.
That's my point, is then you followed up where you don't even qualify for the Big Ten tournament the following year. Yeah. So this is another opportunity. And you could say collectively, this is the best season that Nebraska's had Big Ten-wise when you look at their place in the regular season and in the tournament, where you were a 2 and then a champion. If you can follow that up with something similar, whether you flip it or you're no further than number 3, you're wearing white on that first game, you're not worried about the last weekend of the regular season of if you're even going to make the top 8 or possibly top 10 now with an expanded Big Ten tournament field. But there's going to always be that confidence, and it's sometimes maybe that blind faith every year that this baseball program is, I don't care about UCLA. I don't care about USC, Oregon, how good they are. We know the type of brand they are. I don't care about the Big Ten, to your point, that they have established that. This is a big year if you want to get those things, in my opinion.
Can you break through in a sport that is so based on geography? In Middle America, can you break through and the geography is not your ceiling just because of where you're located, and it happens to be the conference you play in?
And that's when you start to, if you
can get that, man, you're cooking with some peanut oil.
Absolutely. And and from the recruiting aspect of it as well, when we talk about the elite of the elite in this state going to places like LSU and Vanderbilt, when you can establish that, if you can establish that beyond, because one of the things working against Nebraska in those recruiting pitches is the Big Ten. When you can just sell the program on the program itself, knowing it doesn't matter what conference we play in, we're going to be in the NCAA tournament, we're going to be hosting, and we're going to have a chance to be in the Super Regional every year. That's where you get those types of players to say, yeah, you know what, man, I think it'd feel good to stay home here.
All right, Evan Bland in about 30 minutes. We'll talk to Jacob Bigalow this morning as well. Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone. All right, mentality. I don't know how you did last week. I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on. Maybe you were a little bit down. Maybe you couldn't focus. Maybe there were some things that were causing stress. Your attention span, your mental acuity was not as good as a complete game shutout. Well, let's figure that out, because now we're into the month of June. We got a lot of things going on in June. And men, we got to be at the top of our game, because there's a lot of people that are relying on us. Your spouse, your kids, your friends, your coworkers. And if you're not able to meet their demands or meet the demands that you have on your own, and you're feeling anxious, moody, all of these things, irritable, impatient, and you're wondering why, well, you may have symptoms of low testosterone. And that's where mentality comes into play, where they can help you. They've got FDA-approved testosterone treatment with a board-certified physicians who work with most insurance companies to figure out your symptoms of low T. Low energy and motivation, you don't have to live with it. Weight gain, muscle loss, you don't have to live with it, because Mentality is here as a local healthcare facility
They are dedicated to help us men feel and perform at our very best. This is what you do. Set up a physical right now. Go to lowtusa.com, make an appointment. You'll get a physical consultation, blood panel results. They'll share it with you. And if you have symptoms of low T, Mentality will give you a plan to get you back on the right track. They have helped thousands and thousands of men right here in the Omaha area to get back to have that confidence and living life again. Do it for yourself. Do it for Father's Day. Go to lowtusa.com. It's Mentality.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
Host is roasting every morning. How does Host Coffee Services provide the best coffee for your workplace? By finding the richest and most robust coffee beans from all around the world and bringing them to our Nebraska roastery, where your coffee is roasted fresh and delivered straight to you.
Proudly serving Nebraska since 1972. Host Coffee Services is always roasting something good for you.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Severe for Ted and Wally's Premium Ice Cream. Been doing it for 35 years, so many flavors. And one of the great things about ice cream is it fits into Americana, right? And what's more Americana than baseball? And we have the greatest baseball tournament that happens anywhere every summer right here in Omaha. So when you're downtown and you're just trying to get a little bit of fun in with baseball, stop by the location in the Old Market and get some ice cream as well. Ted and Wally's has so many great different flavors. And the great thing about it is that every single day on social media, they put up a new list, whether it's the Benson location or if it's a location in the Old Market. And all you got to do is go on there, find your favorite flavor and stop by. And they also make sure that whatever you need, say you're thinking you're keto friendly, they have keto friendly ice cream. If you have a problem with, say, regular milk, they help you out as well. They have so many different kinds of ice cream that will fit you. Check out both locations. You can go to Benson, right next to Taste of New Orleans, or in the Old Market and enjoy the atmosphere of baseball. And when you do visit them, tell them Severe sent you.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-761-0000. That's 800-761-0000. 800-761-0000.
Funplex asked an AI assistant where you find ultimate summer fun. And, well...
Funplex. Nebraska's largest water park and rides. Now with the brand new spinning, tilting Wipeout. Tasty treats, special events, private cabanas, and more. Probability of unforgettable fun, 100%. Funplex is the best choice for an all-in-one day of summer excitement.
So, see you at Funplex then?
I am a language model.
Yeah, fair enough. Get your human tickets at fun-plex.com. Let's go!
When it comes to protecting your home, Jay Stennett Contracting takes pride in ensuring every detail is handled. Roofing, siding, gutters. When it comes to the exterior of your home, Jay Stennett Contracting has you covered. Water, wind, and hail can wreak havoc on the exterior of your home. If your home is damaged, let Jay Stennett Contracting come out for a no-obligation inspection. If repairs are needed, they will help you through every step of the process. When you need an honest assessment, Jay Stennett Contracting has you covered. JSCRestoration.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, new week. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Two of the three are here, but we have our utility guy, Peter Krenzer, is in the house wearing an old Omaha Royals t-shirt.
It was one of the giveaway items this year.
That's a good looking giveaway item.
It's a hoodie. It's a short sleeve hoodie.
Short sleeve hoodie.
Saturday night is Runza night.
That was a giveaway?
And they're going to have some nice sun hats.
That's a fantastic giveaway. That's one of the best giveaways I've seen.
It's pretty neat. And they wore the beautifully designed throwbacks designed by Alex that night. So
yeah,
lots of good outfits.
Hey, did you guys know the Shrine Bowl was played this weekend in Kearney?
After the fact, yes. And isn't it amazing how little run that does get anymore?
Yes. So it's the 66th. I used to cover it a lot. It's a great experience for the kids that are playing it in it. It's a great experience for the coaches that are involved. When they moved it out to Kearney, they've done a great job with it. You know, after it moved away from Lincoln, they raise money, and for the kids at the Shriners Hospital, it's a great moment. But this was the 66th. Usually, there's some discussion about it. I don't know if anybody locally. I know the World Herald, Chris Basnett covered it, but that's like usually Stu. Stu loves the Shrine Bowl.
Yep.
Like Stu writes a couple of stories. I saw no pre-stories on the Shrine Bowl. Now, it's not on public media.
Right.
It is on NCN, and they do a really good job.
Yeah.
But with public media, they at least have things leading up to it that they can promote it. This is the first year. I had no idea the Shrine Bowl was this past weekend.
Yeah.
And, you know, college football has kind of killed these all-star games because more early enrollees. There are coaches that are, you know, a little bit, they would rather have their guys moving in on Shrine Bowl week than going to practice. So, you know, the Shrine Bowl was always a big thing. Let's go see the future Huskers play.
Right.
Or the other stars play before they go off to college. And the game was played, in July?
Yeah, it was always after 4th of July.
Now it has, college football has really put a dent into these. But this is the first time that it did not dawn on me until I saw a game story that the Shrine Bowl was this past weekend.
And I remember being in Columbus, and this is probably the last that I really remember, because I remember going and doing the game on the radio, because there was a couple between Lakeview, SCOTUS, and Columbus. I had some guys out there, and even some of the smaller schools. I think even some of the 8-man guys were out there. You would get a lot of press alerts, opportunities to get out to practice, even if you weren't covering the game. A lot of opportunities to talk to certain players. Like there was a full on.
I didn't see any of that.
I didn't either. I have not. In fact, in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, I have not gotten one email as far as a media alert of here's what the schedule looks like. Here's what the guy is going to be doing this week. Here's who's going to be practicing this week. Here's when they go to the hospital. A lot of the different human interest parts of it leading up to the game itself. So you knew that the game was coming because you were getting inundated with all these emails, which were great because they did such a thorough job of telling you when things were, what time they were, making players and coaches available. It's been a while since I can remember even having any of those cross my email. And I'd be curious if like Baz, obviously, as you mentioned, was locked into it, but if a lot of the high school beat writers throughout the state, if they're having a similar media silence when it comes to that, or at least getting the information where you actually have to, and part of that, that's on us. If we want to really find out, we could pursue it. But for a long time, I think a lot of us were used to it, them coming after us and saying, hey, by the way, here's what's going on. And I think it was very positive.
Saw pictures like the stands weren't packed.
Yeah.
That's disappointing. Evan Bland coming up in about 30 minutes. He is in Stillwater. Nebraska baseball season over, 40-22. But that regional is not. Florida and Oklahoma State play today in a do-or-die game. And then south of there in Norman, Oklahoma and UConn play in a do-or-die game. LSU, North Carolina, Evansville, ECU.
The Purple Aces.
Oregon State and Cal Irvine are finishing up a game that had some rain involved with it. Oh, and then LSU, North Carolina. As LSU, if they win in Chapel Hill again today, they're going to host. We're getting the Tigers back, aren't we? Don't let the Tigers get hot. Don't let the Tigers get hot.
Don't let them win today.
Ed Orgeron going to be back. Well, don't let the Tigers get hot. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. 1620, The Zone. Hey, you know what is right around the corner. It is called Father's Day. And right now, there's a great opportunity for you because Lindley Clothing is having a Father's Day sale. Have you thought about, you know what? Summer's here. Father's Day is coming up. What a great way to celebrate dad. Take him to Lindley Clothing. right there at 132nd and West Dodge in the Linden Market. Let Dad peruse. Get him a Father's Day gift in person. Let him look at shirts, polos, short sleeve shirts, or you know what? A nice suit. Lindley Clothing has been a staple in Omaha. Your dad has been there. His dad's been there. You're now taking your sons there. They got top brands like Jack Victor, Bugatti, Peter Millar. They can hook up your dad. So take your dad there to go Father's Day shopping at Lindley Clothing. Sportswear to tailored clothing, you know that Dad can find something. 132nd and West Dodge in the Linden Market to find the latest styles. And as always, great customer service and easy access shopping.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roof and Time Saving Traffic Center. No accidents to report, but we're starting to see heavier traffic in the Omaha Metro. You could expect delays on eastbound I-80 from I-680 to 72nd. Slow goings on northbound I-680 from I-80 to Dodge. Eastbound Dodge has got slow goings from 180th to 144th and from I-680 to 72nd. There's delays on westbound I-80 towards the exit ramp to 144th, and there's slow goings on westbound 370 between 144th and I-80. Be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
The electrical market requires your company to adjust to an ever-changing field. IBEW Local 22 gives you flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, and proven training programs. Call Bob at IBEW Local 22 for details at 402-980-7596.
Some people think business banking is only about transactions. But at Emprise, we don't view money as an end game. We see it as an engine. It's who we are. Transforming ideas into IPOs, turning potential into profit. Emprise is next generation business banking, where we help money work for you, not the other way around. That's the power of possible. Visit emprisebank.com to learn more. Member FDIC.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
Car repair is car repair. Most places you go can change your oil or fix your brakes. The difference is the experience you'll get at Omaha Car Care. We're part of the community. We were born here, and we believe that our relationship with you should be built to last. We're going to consult you, not sell you. We're going to give you a free loaner car. We're going to treat you like a valued friend that we want to continue to see in the years to come. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, do you think if you were watching the Texas A&M game on Saturday night, do you think the kid that was doing the gritty, in the
Constantly.
Constantly. Do you think he found his parents?
I hope so.
That kid was living his best life.
I hope he slept well that night too.
I was all for it.
That was from start to finish. As long as you saw the camera shot, he was always doing the gritty.
I've learned a thing in this past week about little kids, little boys.
Whoa,
boy! This isn't. Don't get weird on me here.
Hey, you're talking to a t-ball coach here now.
They like taking off their shirt.
Yeah. So did you know?
That's like the thing to do, and you got these little, like 55-pound, fourth grader that's like, he's flexing for me. But that kid, like, he was shirtless.
Yeah.
And he was having the time of his life, and I was all for it. I'm glad that the announcers at least acknowledged it.
Yeah, you had to at some point.
Because they're like, hey, somebody's having a great time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, where are the kids' parents? Because now we're on like 7 innings, and he's going on, like a couple of boxes of cotton candy.
Oh, yeah. That crash is going to be epic.
But that's one of the things when you host a regional Nebraska, kids can do the gritty.
They'll gritty in the berm all day long.
Go viral.
Did you see, this was just a random moment when the game was like completely out of reach, but there was a foul ball over in right field. This was in Stillwater. And there was probably about 4 or 5 kids from Nebraska. They probably had to be between the ages of 8 and 10. And to your point though, I just remember noticing like, oh yeah, there's the one kid who's just going shirtless, getting the foul ball from the right fielder amongst the rest of Nebraska fans. And I just said, I was watching with a couple of buddies. I'm like, that's our fan base right there. They know, but you can't show, there are certain places, you probably know of one that we're both involved with. They will not show during muscle cam if a kid takes a shirt off.
Oh, really?
They don't want to show it on the video board
okay.
because they think it maybe sends an awkward message, I suppose. But that was always the thing of the kids. Even at a hockey game, they'd be ripping their shirts off and flexing. You're like, Jesus, it's like 50 degrees in here.
I can tell you that one person on the show will not be taking off his shirt for y'all. I don't know what you're going to do, Nick. So over the weekend, interesting regional in Fayetteville. Dave Van Horn will not be coming to Omaha. People are wondering if the 60-plus-year-old Dave Van Horn has lost his fastball. I love Dave. He is on my Mount Rushmore of head coaches ever at Nebraska.
Oh yeah,
we have been friends since he was hired in '98, and I told him he was absolutely effing crazy when at Vincenzo's in January of 1998. He goes, "We're going to go to the College World Series someday." So I was doing the games, and so that was our meet and greet.
Yeah.
And I was like, who are you? I go, have you not seen where you play? And he said it like twice. And I'm like, oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And he was like, we are going to go to the College World Series. So I want to see Dave win a national championship. He's got to be the number one coach in America, the best coach without a national championship in college baseball.
Agreed.
I worry though, because man, he went into a dark place. I'm not speaking out of turn here. I think he's spoken about it publicly. Game 2, 2018 championship series against Oregon State. They had it.
Yep.
They had it.
Every time there's a foul ball, even at that ballpark, you think about it. Doesn't even have to involve in the College World Series.
They had it.
Yeah.
They were going to win the College World Series. The ball was not caught. Foul territory up the right field line. Landed between 3 guys. Oregon State goes on to win that game. They win the next day. Arkansas doesn't win a national championship. Arkansas's had chances at home, but it seems like they play better when they're away. They were better in Stillwater than they were this past weekend. So Dave won't be coming here. And people are questioning if he can get Arkansas over the hump. It also tells me, and this isn't new with me, I hope it's not new with you, winning the national championship in college baseball is extremely difficult. The road to Omaha and then to complete the road, man, it is a massive undertaking to win a national championship in college baseball. And I don't know if you're in the game, but if you're not, I don't know how many people really appreciate how difficult it is to win a national championship with the current setup.
Yeah.
What you how good you have to be for 3+ weeks to win a national championship in baseball. And Arkansas, man, some of their better teams, they come up short. Some of their underdog teams, they end up here in Omaha.
Right.
I don't know if he's going to win a national championship, and that 2018 will haunt him forever if he does not.
21 was a great team. They get out of the regional, but they end up losing NC State in the Super at home. This last weekend, you're still liking your draw.
Oh, you beat SEMO on Friday 17-9.
Right. And then you end up losing to them yesterday.
You beat your former volunteer assistant, Andy Sawyers, head coach at SEMO, who once told Augie Garrido, as he was coaching first base in 2000, old man, go sit your ass down in the dugout. We don't do that stuff in Lincoln.
Yeah, not one part
because
of that
Garrido had come out to argue, and Andy Sawyers was like, well, I'm not putting up with this today. And Andy is...
Oh,
he's matured. But he was a little bit younger back in 2000. His first stint with Nebraska.
He's fiery.
He was on the edge. He would say some funny stuff.
Yeah,
but you beat him 17-9. You're like, oh yeah.
So then you have that collapse. You lose in the winners bracket game. You come back against SEMO. You get beat yesterday, and this is was another really solid team. So you don't get out of the regional. One of your most loaded teams. You don't get out of the super regional, and a lot of that, because to what you bring up with the national championship, this is why I don't know if people appreciate what the Vanderbilts of the world have accomplished when they're finding themselves into that championship series during their run. And even Virginia, before they actually won their national championship, getting there as much as they did, getting that just in that championship series, being a regular. Because we were talking to Kyle Peterson about this last week, and think about every Friday game that you play, that even if it's the 1 versus 4, you're going up against an ace, you're going up against a stud, and you're just hoping that, well, what you've experienced on Friday nights is much better than what this guy is going to be able to throw against you. Okay, then let's fast forward it into the super regional. Okay, now you're going up against an even better team. They got out of their regional. You're facing their stud. You're trying to set the tone that Friday night or Saturday, whenever you play. And so just because you are a 50-plus win team, and you know this being a baseball guy as well, the margin for error, especially when you get to what we've seen this last weekend, but especially this upcoming weekend, little things. And we were talking about Nebraska getting up to a 2-0 lead, but then all of a sudden you let the leadoff guy get on with an error, and then you walk, and all of a sudden everything that you've done, it's just such a game of momentum, but it's both physical and emotional momentum that comes with it, that you can still be one of the best teams. But it's those teams like when we watch LSU. Paul Skeens was a huge, huge part of what they did. But you were around that team last year. There was zero give a blanks when it came to any high leverage situation with that LSU team. And those teams that you see, there is a mentality about them that is just different from a lot of the other teams that you maybe cover or see on a season basis. That I think about Arkansas. I just wonder from that moment when they had it in the clutch, and there's
a lot of pressure, by the way. Arkansas baseball is big time.
Oh, it's huge. It's not a football school that all of a sudden it's not like Nebraska where they just show up and support baseball. Like, it's baseball hungry. I
bet Dave's getting crushed this morning on Sports
I'm
Talk
sure
Radio
he is.
in Fayetteville.
Well, okay.
Or Little Rock or wherever they have Sports Talk Radio in Arkansas.
So Saturday night before I went to bed, I'm looking at Twitter.
You were crushing Dave Van Horn?
I was not crushing Dave Van Horn, but I was John Neighbors, who does Arkansas radio. I've met him a bunch of times when they've been in Omaha. They're doing a 3-man post-game show and doing a call-in show and a comment show.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so that's not just a fan base that is loyal to Arkansas athletics. That's a baseball fan base there.
Yeah. Dave told me a story. One of his, and he played there, so he knows the passion.
Mm-hmm.
He said one of his first years there, they didn't have their fall roster up on the website. And it was like September 1 and kids had just come to school. And he said, like, people were calling the baseball office, wondering if they get a physical copy of the baseball roster because it was not online.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, this is not Nebraska.
Yeah.
People didn't know we had fall ball. We were like, fall ball is played in the football stadium. we get moved out because they're practicing on our baseball field.
Right.
All right. Evan Bland's coming up here in a little bit. Minnesota Viking fan. This is a big deal for you. Jordan Jefferson has gotten paid.
Oh, yeah.
4-year, $140 million contract extension includes $110 million guaranteed.
Ooh.
Makes him not only the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history, but the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Adam Schefter was the first to report it. His deal includes $88+ million due at signing, the highest non-quarterback guarantee at signing in NFL history, and it resets the wide receiver market.
Mm-hmm.
The wide receivers have had a good offseason and making a little bit of money. Remember when A.J. Brown's deal was a big thing?
Yeah.
Jordan Jefferson.
It slides down the list.
$110 million guaranteed.
Damn.
Also, the Vikings this week are supposed to unveil an alternate uniform, an all-white alternate uniform.
That looked good.
but they have their wide receiver. Wonder how Kirk Cousins feels.
Or J.J. McCarthy right now, too.
I saw a little video of J.J. McCarthy met Tommy Kramer at a celebrity
there you
softball
go.
game.
If you want to get in the hearts of the Minnesota Viking fans right there.
By the way, we need to work on something around here. I'm watching Cam Taylor-Britt play in his celebrity softball game. We got enough athletes in the area. Why can't one of our big-name athletes come back here and do a celebrity softball game?
It should. What did they do during the... Yeah, remember they did the celebrity softball game when they hosted the AAA All-Star game here?
Yeah.
There was a lot of the who's who.
That was when Bud Crawford thought he could play.
Yeah, Bud Crawford played. Yeah. So this was actually brought up.
Darryl Strawberry was playing with us in that game.
Brought this up on the crossover last week. I wouldn't call these guys celebrities, but you remember, Brett Jensen, Brandon Buckman. There was a year that they were playing co-ed slow pitch softball against yours truly, and one of the guys, the guy who could hit, he took one up the middle on my best friend. I thought he killed him. I thought he lacerated his liver.
Oh God.
So I mean, those guys sometimes they resurface in the slow pitch softball world. You never know. So
Cam Taylor-Britt, who is all in on Nebraska, by the way, he's going to host a football camp at Memorial Stadium in July. He is like, I'm all GBR. He's graduated. They've opened up the door for him to come work out. He's kind of subtly. You saw David Merritt, who is Dawson Merritt's dad, who they have a trip to Alabama June 7th. But I feel really good that Dawson Merritt will be a Husker, the big-time linebacker out of Kansas City. They put him in touch with Cam Taylor-Britt. Cam Taylor-Britt wants to be more involved at Nebraska. Boom, here we go. Bring a celebrity softball game, your celebrity softball game, bring it to Nebraska.
Get Joe Burrow here. Joe's been here.
Oh, no.
Joe has family here.
No, we can't do that.
What?
Hey, I know Jamie still lives here. We can't do that because I think all the think pieces and referendums on Caitlin Clark are exhausting.
That's a good
and
comparison.
Here comes Joe Burrow.
That is a great comparison.
What if Joe Burrow would have played at Nebraska?
Yep.
What if I would have been skinny?
Did you know that Joe Burrow wanted to play at Nebraska? I don't know.
Here's
if y'all
the
knew
same
that.
photo of him in the hat.
Yeah.
For the 100th time.
I would boo Joe Burrow.
Oh, but he feeds off of that. So he'd probably go 5 for 5.
Yeah, he fed off it really well. It was the last time he played Kansas City. What happened to him?
Oh.
Yeah. See you week 2, pal.
Now we're getting Burrow him.
We'll talk to Evan Bland from the Omaha World Herald coming up next.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. You get a lot of junk in your inbox. This one, not junk at all. 1620 the email. Exclusive content, contests, other stuff probably. Subscribe today at 1620thezone.com.
Warm and muggy start to the week Monday. Expect partly sunny skies. Can't rule out a stray shower or storm late afternoon and evening, though most will remain dry. Highs in the mid to upper 80s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time Saving Traffic Center, it's a pretty steady Monday morning in the Omaha Metro with no accidents to report. You can expect slow goings on the I-680 ramps to westbound Dodge Expressway. Heavy traffic on 370 between 144th and I-80. Millard Ave is closed in both directions between 144th and U from now till the end of August due to long-term road construction. Northbound 72nd between F and I-80 still closed due to bridge work. Hope you have a fantastic day. Just be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Mario Street Tacos or steak and chorizo queso blanco enchiladas can only be found in one place. Fernando's. Great Mexican food, awesome margaritas, and a wonderful family atmosphere. Fernando's, Omaha's favorite Mexican for more than 30 years.
There is only one constant in the universe, and that's change.
Brent Rasmussen of Mortgage Specialists.
I'm sure many of you remember the incredibly low interest rates that were available only a few years ago. Well, things changed. Now rates are higher. But would you believe me if I told you there was a time when people were paying double-digit rates? And that's the thing. Everything changes. Rates go up, rates go down. So if you're waiting for the perfect time when rates drop before you buy a home, you might miss out on the home you really want. So when you think about it, what's a thing today might not be a thing tomorrow. See? Change is good. I'm Brent Rasmussen. Call me at Mortgage Specialists, and we can show you all the details. Mortgage Specialists. Driven, trusted, reliable.
Click mtg-specialists.com. NMLS number 5918, Equal Housing Lender.
In today's electrical market requires your company to be able to adjust to an ever-changing field. A partnership with IBEW Local 22 gives you that flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, proven training programs, marketing assistance, entry into markets not available before, ability to expand and contract with changing market conditions, and a benefits package for you and your employees. Contact Bob at IBEW Local 22 for additional details at 402-980-7596.
It's going to be another sizzling hot summer. Stay cool with 35% off new Champion windows. Don't burn your money on high energy bills. Get new energy efficient windows from Champion. 35% off. Plus, get an extra $100 off every window you replace. The more you buy, the more you save. We help you choose the best design options for your home. We then build your project in our very own factory. Our install team manages your project every step of the way, and it's all backed by our lifetime guarantee. Plus, we're giving away the chance to win a $50,000 home makeover. Enter online today. Turn your house into your dream home with more livable space in a new Champion sunroom, or enhance your curb appeal with new siding. Now 35% off. Don't wait. This sale won't last long. 35% off windows, sunrooms, and siding. Plus, get an extra $100 off every window you replace. Call 877-GO-CHAMPION or visit championsavenow.com to schedule a free in-home estimate today. All discounts apply to our regular prices. Select styles apply. Minimum purchase required. Cannot be combined with other advertised offers. See store or website for details.
I'm Ryan Osted. Golf is great because it can be whatever you want it to be. If you want to go out and have a competitive 18 holes, you can make it that. If you want to go out and have a scramble and just have the time of your life, if you want to have a charity golf tournament to raise money for some great cause, you can make it that. It is flexible to be whatever you need it to be at that particular moment in your life. And I've needed golf to be different things at different points in my life. And I'm certainly thankful that I was able to learn the game as a kid and continue to play it now as an adult.
Play better, have fun, and shop Osted's.
Funplex has asked me to give you a first-hand account of the all-new for 2024 Wipeout attraction.
Okay, hit it.
We're starting up. Spinning a little now. Whoa, a lot.
The centrifugal force is starting to stretch my face.
Holy this thing's fast.
Whoa, it's tilting. We have tilting. Woohoo, this is awesome. You got to try this. Get your tickets now at fun-plex.com.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, our next guest will have his own show now that the baseball season is over. Evan Bland, who has become a regular on 1620. We enjoy the conversation. He's on the road back from Stillwater. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. Doing all right. How are you guys?
Okay, so we have a little debate here because I've tried to tell the boys at 1620 the best route from Omaha to Stillwater is the Kansas Turnpike. Now, Kyle Peterson backed me up this weekend saying that he drove the Kansas Turnpike, and I said, that's why we're alike. What is the best route? What is the route that you will be driving to come back to Omaha?
The Turnpike. That's
Bam! Come on, Evan.
All right,
what would you
81.
These guys talk about, I want to go look out.
81.
I want to go look at the water tower in York and then go south.
It looks like a hot air balloon.
And drive through rural Nebraska.
They have a solid Taco John's in York, too.
I want to get there as soon as possible. That's why you're good at your job, Evan.
Yeah, if I were going to Lincoln, I'd go to York and hang a right. But get to Omaha, it's the Turnpike. It's the little
Yes. All right. So there will be more baseball in Stillwater, which I still think is impressive what Florida did last night. But Nebraska's season is over, 40 wins, second in the regular season, titleless in the postseason, 31 in the RPI. It's a rare 40-win season. When you tell the story as you wrap up the season, Evan, about Nebraska's 2024 season, how much will you include of this weekend when you tell the story of what Will did this year?
I think this week is about a reminder of what the next step is for the program. You know, you think about the memories they made in Omaha last week, and that's going to be a highlight. You think of the strong start to the season and how that set them up from an RPI standpoint. I think this week was a reminder that there's still work to do. I mean, I kind of got the sense that this was sort of the ceiling for Nebraska baseball this year with this team, was to get to a regional, was to compete. But when you saw Florida on the other side, and this is not a great Florida team, relatively speaking, but they have, you could just tell the talent. I mean, the bats, the pitching, even as they, by their own standards, maybe don't have the arms that they've had in the past. Like, they're still guys who are throwing mid-90s and have some good stuff. And so, like, to me, it was sort of an edict to the program that, hey, you're going to have to go out and find some more pitching depth. You're going to have to go out and find a little bit more, a few more bats with some thunder in them, and just find a way to build on that. You know, you think about something that's carried this pitching staff all year, which is, hey, let's eliminate the walks and throw strikes. You kind of find quickly that strategy has a little bit of a different result when you're facing an SEC lineup. You know, I heard from Florida all week about how they were aware that Nebraska throws strikes and they were ready to hit. And you saw it on the scoreboard, certainly on Sunday. So I suppose that's kind of what it is to me. And I would also add, you look at Oklahoma State's ballpark, and it's gorgeous. O'Brate Stadium, just a few years old. Like, it's sort of like when Nebraska went to Arkansas in 21. Like, this was a weekend when Nebraska's coaches and their administrators, I mean, this is sort of the next step for this program as it looks to continue to try to compete on a national level. You need the facilities, you need the development, you need the talent. I think all that was a reminder of the work still ahead for Nebraska.
And with that, Evan, and there were moments throughout the last 3 days that you could point to when it came to Brett Sears. He competed his way through that start, but back-to-back starts didn't have his best stuff. Then you look at times, even Jackson Brockett yesterday, I probably point more to him than anything, where your biggest strength was going to turn out to be your biggest weakness, and that is being around the plate the way that he was. If you look at Nebraska emphasizing one thing that wasn't there for them when they needed it, do you look more on the mound or do you look more on the plate?
You know, it kind of varied based on the games. Like in the opener, you know, Nebraska just needed that big hit or two, and they would have been right there with Florida. And then in the last game against Florida, of course, they actually do score some runs, and they hit the ball pretty hard, especially before it got out of hand with those two-run homers. Maybe could have been three. I thought that Rhett Stokes ball was fair down the left field line, but you know, at that point, you're in the regional. That's when the pitching depth does come into play a little bit more. And, you know, Nebraska kind of flipped that narrative a week ago in the Big Ten tournament. But I think when you're talking about national caliber type of teams, like, that's where the depth really gets tested. I mean, Sears, as you said, competed, and it could have been a lot worse, but he bared down when he needed to in the opener. And then McConaughey looked pretty sharp against Niagara, which has a pretty decent offense in its own right. But then you kind of get to the point then in the third game where you're like, all right, well, which Jackson Brockett are you going to get? Are you going to get the no-hitter or the 8-inning guy in the Big Ten tournament final, or are you going to get the guy who was at Penn State and maybe just wasn't quite as sharp? And, you know, we found out quickly kind of which way that was. And then they went to the bullpen and kind of had mixed results a little bit there for a while. Kyle Fralick was kind of the exception and had a pretty decent relief outing before the rain came. But you know, I guess that's kind of where I am with this team right now is you just never knew from day to day, like, what it was going to be. And that was probably, if you're going to critique kind of how things went with the season as a whole, it was probably that you just never really knew, like, was this the day the offense was going to be good and and pick up for the pitching? Was it going to be vice versa? Very rarely did it seem like Nebraska had all three phases working, and I think we kind of saw again this weekend they were trying to work through when one or more areas wasn't working in a given game.
Let's talk about Gabe or Babe Swanson, because you wrote about it, and he was on a heater for 2 weeks. He was on a heater last year. He struggled at the beginning of this year. He found his compass again and had 2 good weeks. And you know what? To have a regional like that, where there are so many scouts there that are watching Caglione, who's going to be a top 5 overall pick, Gabe doesn't show up on a top 100 list, some not even 300 list, but he's going to be 22 when the next baseball season rolls around. You talk to him after the game. What's your gut say on what his future looks like? Is it back in the outfield at Haymarket Park, or is it next spring in Arizona or Florida in a major league spring training minor league camp?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question because the situation sets up in a really fascinating way to where he didn't do much of anything during the regular season, and that's pretty well chronicled as to why that is. And so when you go off as much as he did in the last 2 weeks in the postseason with eyes on you, like I think it's going to be fascinating to get the answer to the question: what does 2 weeks of red hot hitting do for your draft stock? Because I think a month ago it was a no-brainer. Like, Swanson didn't do what he wanted to do this year. He had another year of eligibility. He was going to be back. So, like, how much value does a scout or a pro talent evaluator put in to those 2 weeks when, especially in baseball, you hear all the time about sample size and you need to have it be a certain amount before you can really, buy into it as a real thing. Like, how do you evaluate Gabe Swanson's season if you're a team looking to take a chance on somebody? So I think, Swanson, talking with him after the game, he didn't know. He was like, things changed for him in the last 2 weeks. He had no idea where he was going to be in a month or 6 weeks. And I think, I asked Will Bolt kind of the same question. He's like, I don't know what's going to happen. I get the sense that, if he has a chance to go, maybe he would. But I also know that this year Nebraska was really meaningful for him. He's a guy where his time at Nebraska began when they didn't make the Big Ten tournament a couple of years ago, and then they did, and now they're in a regional. So I also think he kind of feels the momentum of what this program's doing, and the season meant a lot to him. So, usually it's a little more clear cut at this point. Like, we know Josh Caron's going to be drafted, and we kind of know a number of other maybe junior eligible guys who are coming back. Swanson, to me, is sort of that ultimate wild card where a lot of that decision is out of his hands. It's on what outside evaluators view about how he finished the season.
And how much of his connection with Will Bolt, with Lance Harvell, with Rob Childress, even throwing, first year staffer with Nebraska and Mike Sirianni, knowing those guys stuck with him, still trying to carve out a place for him to get the reps, to get the at-bats, to have that platform where he ultimately did break through in the postseason and have that tear he had in the postseason. Any indication of how that could impact the decision of just feeling appreciative about that opportunity and wanting to come back because he, feels at home there with these guys?
Yeah, you would think. I mean, his teammates were genuinely happy for him because he's a guy who has put in the work behind the scenes. He's a guy who continued to be engaged during the games and be happy for other people's success. And so, I think that was genuine. And obviously his emergence was really important just from an offensive standpoint, where they found a run producer that they hadn't had for a lot of the year. But you hear Will Bolt talk about Swanson and say, even when he's been struggling and Nebraska had other options in the outfield, like, they still gave him the occasional opportunity to break out and find something because he'd earned it behind the scenes. And so, what a cool moment. He even kind of in the moment yesterday stepped back and said, man, what a cool story. This is something I'll be able to talk about to my kids and grandkids for how I responded. So I think he, at this point, is a little bit reflective of what he just did and how cool of a run that was. And you don't do that if you don't have the support of your teammates, if you don't have your coaches continuing to see the work that you're putting in behind the scenes and give you an opportunity. So, I imagine they'll have that conversation after the season, but certainly he's been as an emotional part of this team as anybody. And so, if things are sort of on the fence, I have no doubts he'd be more than happy to come back and run it back one more time in Lincoln.
So let's move out the Gabe conversation. Brett Sears is out of eligibility. Kyle Ellis Perry is now out of eligibility. KP won't be able to come back, which is going to be odd not to see him at Haymarket Park. Josh Caron more than likely will have a good draft slot where he will be gone. They don't lose a lot of key pieces. They return more intriguing pieces. They've got some really good junior college players at the plate or on the mound that are coming in. As you look at how will approach, Evan, 2025 in roster construction, what do you think his number one objective will be?
I think you need more pitching depth, probably. And they have a couple of junior college arms that are coming in, and I'm sure they'll hit the portal at least a little bit. But they're reconstructing their roster, I think, has changed since Will Bolt's been here in the last couple of years. I mean, early on, they were all in on the portal, and I think they kind of got burned a few times pursuing some guys who maybe just had their destinations already in mind. And so you've seen them pivot pretty hard toward the junior college ranks in the last cycle or so. And you look at this team, I mean, many of their top contributors were junior college players, and they hit on just about everybody that they brought in this last cycle. So, I think they feel like they already have a few impact bats set to come in, maybe a pitcher or two that they like. It'll be interesting to see how the 25 group comes together, because I think maybe from a pitching standpoint, they feel like another year with Rob Childress show is going to be where some of the development comes in. Mm-hmm. So, maybe they add an arm or two, whether in the portal or possibly another junior college guy. But I think they feel like, another chance, another year of development under Childress can bring along some of these guys that we saw a little bit this year. And then you kind of look at the lineup as well, and you see, okay, Cole Evans is out of eligibility, and Ben Columbus at first, and they've already addressed some of these positions, from a junior college perspective as well. So, I just think it's going to be more about depth. You still need some high impact guys. Will did make the point after the game that Nebraska does have a bigger core of returners, probably especially in the lineup, than it's had since he's been here. Really, there's been so much turnover with transfers and older players and such. And so I think they feel like, obviously you want to add quality depth, but I think they get the sense that for the first time, maybe since this staff's been here, they have a decent idea of who your leaders are going to be already. And now it's about going out and developing the guys you have and maybe adding some impact pieces all over the place.
And I know this next question has a lot to do with what you just laid out there on what they decide to do roster-wise when it comes to the pitching staff. But I think we could say, as far as where his stock was by the end of the season and one of the more reliable arms, period, Jalen Worthley, where do you see his role being in 2025? Do you think that's a guy that's going to be in the weekend mix, considered to be a starter? Do they like him as a high leverage reliever? Where would you kind of guess he goes?
I mean, at this moment, like, to me, he differentiates himself by being a guy who can give you one or two pretty highly reliable innings late in the game. Like, I kind of get the sense that Nebraska has a number of guys who can stretch out and go 4 or 5, even still after this season with some of the guys leaving. I just don't know how many trusted guys they have to say, hey, here, your job is to take the 8th and the 9th and to finish this thing off. So maybe that changes over the course of this summer. But as of now, like, to me, that's where he's different, and that's maybe where he's excelled.
Yeah.
You look at the rotation, you're going to have Mason McConaughey back. Jackson Brockett has another year of eligibility. Will Walsh could technically return if he wants to do that. And then, of course, you just have kind of the natural progression of younger guys moving into the rotation or some of the new additions that they'll have as well. I just don't see an obvious, at this moment, kind of back end bullpen guy. So, maybe that changes. Maybe Worthley has a different vision in mind, but I think right now, that was one of the things that that Nebraska didn't quite have a lot of this year was shut down relievers on the back end, where you just kind of felt like they were in good shape once they got to the 7th or the 8th or the 9th. So that's where I would stay now. But, again, it'll be fascinating to see how that maybe evolves in the next few months.
Evan, as always, we appreciate it. Safe travels back to Omaha, and really enjoyed the coverage. And we'll talk again next Monday. Then we'll only be 82 days away from football.
Can't wait. Let's do it.
Hey, great stuff, by the way. Really enjoyed it. And can't wait for this week, a little wrap on baseball. Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. See ya.
Evan Bland, my favorite guest because he drives the turnpike.
We're getting...
Don't be reading these emails. Yeah, the turnpike is the way to go.
We're getting differing views. WS Joey agrees with you. John agrees with me. So, yeah, maybe this is one of those things where you get into the debate of MJ and LeBron, and there's just no winners. It's a generational thing. I'm not really sure.
One thing to watch. So Creighton has quite a few guys that are in the portal, like key contributors. The closer, the starting catcher. Haligso said, because of the uncertainty of the coaching situation, I'm putting my name into the portal. Creighton's NIL for baseball is basically non-existent. There's a lot of times they lose guys because of NIL. There is a discussion going on Twitter. Today could be a very busy day in the college baseball world. South Carolina and Texas could be looking for new baseball coaches. That's the rumor mill. Also, this is a busy day for the portal. And just the chatter on the portal college baseball wire, there is a noticeably large amount of above average Big Ten players that have entered the portal this morning. Will Nebraska lose anybody via the portal?
I think you always have to, at this point, you have to assume there's going to be a guy or two.
And will it be because of NIL? I'm watching Texas A&M and I'm like, hey, didn't that guy play at Michigan last year? And he's living his best life down in College Station.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another, you're in the Big Ten. But I'm with Evan. The back end of the bullpen is where they got to build up depth. But that comes into roster construction in the NIL world, where teams in the SEC and the ACC, mainly in the SEC, are given money to these guys that their best option would be to go to the Big Ten and be a back end of the bullpen guy. Instead, they're going to the SEC and they might be a 6th or 7th inning guy, but they're getting a little bit of cash.
Yep.
I mean, it's a sport that there is such a gap between the roster construction of an SEC program and a Big Ten program. And there is no time right now that it's going to shrink, because it's a sport that is based on geography.
It is. And we saw that last year during the College World Series, the amount of conversations that head coaches were having during their time in Omaha of not only trying to manage their roster to get to a national championship in the present, but also they were having Zoom visits with kids out of the transfer portal. I mean, they were recruiting during the College World Series, and the conversation, you could talk to the guys that cover this on a national basis, or even when they're here locally and we're talking about this, the slant when it comes to NIL and the collectives in the SEC and the amount of opportunities. You talked about the Summit League, how it seems to be a farm system for a lot of the Power Six in college basketball. There's a case to be made that unless you're the SEC, ACC, Big 12, that really every other conference in a way is kind of a farm system to the rest of them. Because if you are somebody that is above average standout player in the Big Ten Conference, and there is a team that could definitely use you in some type of role and you're going to get paid for it, it is extremely appealing. Look at those venues that you get to play in. Look at all of those regional environments that you get to play in, on top of making money just being a part of that team. It's very appealing right now that these are the things that will bolt other Big Ten coaches that have had success. Even a program like Indiana that I think always finds themselves typically in the postseason. Maryland is always a team that's been there too. This is that new reality you have to battle with.
It's not just the Big Ten. Gary Gilmore went off yesterday. Yep. The great Gary Gilmore, who won a national championship, Coastal Carolina. Yesterday was his last day. He went off on NIL and how it's ruining college baseball. So it's a tough sport when you're in this part of the country, because you also have draft that is involved. Yep. So
there's that part of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into this, but this will be a very important offseason for Will in roster construction, and Will maturing as a bench boss, because If you are in a geographically challenged league or a location, damn, you better be really good out of the dugout. He's got a great pitching coach. Will has to take that next step as a bench boss in game.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can do that and he can construct a roster that is competitive, there's no doubt that they could be in line to host a regional next year, which I think is the number one goal.
Yep.
Number one goal. By the way, I am loving this. Everybody is on Team Turnpike. Kellyanne, Lee Barfnick, who has made many of those trips.
Yeah, he
You're going
has.
to Stillwater, you're going to Norman.
That is true.
I mean, Team Turnpike.
Nick, you're
Let's
not winning
go.
this battle.
You know, it was funny when we first had this
because
conversation.
You guys opened up Google Maps and you're like, oh, let's go to York.
When we first had this conversation, though,
They've
the
got
crossover.
a cool Burger King with a truck stop there. Let's get a Whopper and then we'll drive south.
It's actually a water tower that looks like a hot air balloon, and they have good Taco John's. All right, let's at least be accurate on that. We had a lot of Team Highway 81ers when we first had this conversation. Now we're getting a lot of Team Turnpike here.
Yeah, because they probably went to Stillwater this weekend, and they're like, oh, my God, just do me now. All right? I mean, all these small towns. I mean, do I need to know about Humphrey? No.
Oh, you bite your tongue. You bite your tongue.
Yeah, Humphrey St. Francis.
Kudrin's Kegs, great place, great little establishment up there.
All right. Do I need to drive by Geneva? No. Do I need to drive by Hebron? No.
But you do.
Do I need to drive by Shickley? Wasn't Shickley really good in volleyball recently?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Just checking. Do I need to really drive by Exeter? But you know what?
Exeter?
When you're
Then you'll drive by Milligan.
When you're on a turnpike, you don't have to worry about the small towns. You just.
So now you're against small towns, is what I'm hearing. Jesus. Gary.
I love small towns.
Man.
Remember, I went and saw Joe Diffie off of Highway 81.
Playlist, and it just randomly appears. It was onto the conversation.
I didn't have to
enjoy it.
I didn't have to go to Chester to see Joe Diffie. I went to Hebron.
That's nice.
Shickley did have a good volleyball season.
Yeah,
Okay.
Shickley.
All right,
So-
Shickley.
So,
27
So
and 5.
honestly, so when I moved to Nebraska, you know how I got to know the state of Nebraska? By all the sports teams.
Yeah.
Because I was doing, high school stuff, and you'd be like, oh, okay, so I better find out where Shickley is. I think they're the Longhorns, right?
Eagles.
Okay, same thing.
Well, not really, but yeah.
An animal. It's in that arena.
I was the same way with the consolidation. So if you always told me,
Yeah.
oh, I live in Neely. Oh, that's right by Oakdale, right?
Yes.
Oh, you going to Exeter? Yeah, it's right by Milligan.
Hey, that's the best way to learn towns is to follow like high school schools.
Yeah. Especially when you're in central Nebraska and they're all around you. Sure. All the consolidated schools are great.
Now, hang on. I did see.
We're getting conflicting reports on the mascot.
Maybe I clicked on the wrong Max Preps link here.
Uh-oh.
What did I
Shickley,
click
Ohio?
on? The Bruning Davenport /
Oh, yeah,
Shickley Eagles.
Have you been to
Is
Bruning?
that
Yeah,
the
it's
right
right by
one?
Davenport.
But it does look like there is a Shickley Longhorns.
Oh, is that the BDHS? Like there are 4 consolidated towns. Bruning, Davenport, Shickley,
Which is really
I
something
can't
that
remember.
needs to be addressed. I think it's unfair. Like if you have to go play a school that has 4 teams.
Yeah.
Like I always think it's a disadvantage to play William and Mary. You got to beat 2 teams.
I think it's the same thing, but yes.
The last
the Shickley Longhorns.
The last documented
Longhorns.
season on Max Preps for Shickley Longhorns volleyball was 09-10. So maybe
Yeah.
they just
Oh.
consolidated.
They were a wagon in high school volleyball. I better win some points for knowing that. But they were dominant.
Have you been
I
in
think they were
Doniphan?
I think
Yeah,
they were
it's
D2.
right by Trumbull.
Yes, exactly.
That's how I learned geography.
I know.
Because anything west of Omaha, it was kind of foreign to me. West of Lincoln, I should say. It was foreign to me. For a while, I did think Kearney was on the edge. Thought it was near the Panhandle. Then I learned, we're not really even in Central
Then you
yet.
moved to Omaha and you realize that a lot of people think that Kearney is way
Yeah.
out there.
It's like, so that's in the 308.
All right. Jacob Bigalow coming up in the last
Actually, it is.
hour.
It is in the 308. Just not, it's in the same time zone. Sorry. I'm not talking about Bigalow. I'm just speaking to myself.
All right. Thank you for
Correcting myself.
1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
It is NBA Finals time, and there's no better place to enjoy all the action than by getting in on the action with the FanDuel Sportsbook. John and Josh here to remind you that during the NBA Finals, you can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Doesn't matter which side you like. Doesn't matter if there's a player prop you like. Whatever it is, you win a $5 bet, you get $150 in bonus bets by visiting FanDuel.com/1620.
John, obviously a lot of people will be wondering about Jason Tatum. Can he finally get that elusive ring? And can the Celtics pick up only their second championship since I was born? Let's find out starting this week. Again, go to FanDuel.com/1620 today and get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. FanDuel.com/1620. 21 plus and present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit is required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your radio home for Omaha Storm Chasers baseball, proud AAA affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Tune in to hear every pitch, every hit, and every out as the Chasers play at Warner Park and across the International League in 2024. With the voice of the Omaha Storm Chasers, Nick Batters, on News Talk 1290 Coil.
Tune in to 1290 Coil all season long for your Omaha Storm Chasers baseball as they take on the International League. It's Storm Chasers baseball on 1290 Coil.
Introducing Modern Real Estate, the game changer in Nebraska's property market. With a competitive 2% commission rate, we're making buying, selling, and investing more affordable and transparent than ever. Our experienced agents blend local expertise with cutting-edge technology to provide top-notch personalized service to all clients. Don't settle for less when you can save big without compromising. Visit modernrealestateco.com and experience the future of real estate today. Modern Real Estate, redefining the way you do real estate.
For the second year, the Nebraska Lottery's NASCAR Powerball Playoff promotion has roared into our state, and the excitement is throttling up. Until June 24th, buy a Powerball ticket with Power Play and Double Play. Enter the voucher number, and you could be one of 15 Nebraska winners of $1,000 and the chance to win a VIP trip to the NASCAR Cup Series Championship weekend, plus a shot at $1 million. Enter today. Powerball top prize odds 1 in 292 million.
Easy Cater. 100,000 restaurants, one platform. Whether you need food for catered meetings or company events, Easy Cater has everything to make food for work, work. Seriously, it's all right here in one place. Coffee, snacks, breakfast, daily employee lunches, you name it. Whether you run a nonprofit or a company with offices nationwide, we've got you covered. Anywhere work happens, Easy Cater has everything you need to make food for work, work. Order 24/7 at easycater.com.
With T-Mobile, you can get tons of benefits and still save because nobody likes having to choose. It's like getting romance and sci-fi.
I love you. Also, I'm a robot.
At T-Mobile, you can get the benefits you want and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. See how with our savings calculator at T-Mobile.com/switch. Plus, switch and keep your phone. We'll pay it off up to $800.
Via virtual prepaid card in 15 days. Qualifying unlocked device credit service and timely redemption required. Card has no cash access and expires in 6 months. See T-Mobile.com.
Watching a ball game at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is pretty awesome. Oscar's offers the MLB package, so your team is always on their upgraded audio-video system, and nothing is better than watching the game with a cold frosty one, Oscar's Pizza, or award-winning char-buffed wings. And with daily lunch and dinner specials, it's really a no-brainer. So get ready to watch your favorite team play ball at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Now back on mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
We watched a lot of ESPN this weekend because of the college baseball.
Squeeze play.
But okay, let me just start there.
Okay.
I think it's one of the best things that ESPN has done, but it's too much. There's too many people on that show.
Agreed. Yes, that's fair. That's fair.
They should treat it like the red zone and focus on going to a game. Quad box is fun because you can hashtag quad box.
God, I love quad box.
Quad box?
Squeeze plays too much. They got too many people on there. Chris Burke should be in a stadium. They don't need 3 people.
I think they had Kyle on Squeeze Play. Was it last year, 2 years ago?
Yeah, they don't. They got too many people, and they should treat it like red zone, where they go to a game.
You have a host.
Okay, go to a game.
Yep.
Yeah, there's too much. There's too much going on. And I think people are afraid because it's cool.
I know, because it's college baseball getting something. So you're like, I don't want to knock it. But
you don't want to say, yeah, that's awful busy.
But if you got a cool product, don't you want to make it better?
I don't know. ESPN really isn't serious about college baseball. Convince me otherwise. Why do they still have remote announcers?
That I've never understood that.
Okay.
I have never understood that.
They come here to the College World Series and they put on a good show, but are they really serious about college baseball? If in this day and age, for the NCAA tournament, we still have regionals that have remote announcers, and you might go, oh, how do you know? How about when a home run is hit?
Yeah.
And the announcer has trouble tracking it because of their camera angles, and then the ball has already landed, and they go, that's out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not with the call. It's not in sync. You always know.
i.e. the East Carolina regional.
It's frustrating because I understand during the season if that's the way you want to go about it. You don't want to put the type of manpower into covering travel and all of that. Whatever. That's fine. Postseason, there's no excuse not to have it. And especially these ballparks where every one of them has a press box that's going to be able to accommodate a television broadcast live and on site. You cannot use that as an excuse. And you're right. If you're serious about the product, what you roll out for the College World Series, if you want people to take it as serious as you do during the College World Series, you have to take the entire postseason that way.
Yeah. And I also can't take them serious when we were lucky to have Tom Hart and Kyle Peterson at the Stillwater Regional, because those two together are great.
Yeah, they are.
And they spend a lot of time during the baseball season on the SEC network together. They are fantastic. They are friends. They play off each other really well. They have great chemistry. If ESPN was serious about college baseball, we wouldn't be inundated with, we got to bring our major league guys in. So we got to have Carl Ravitch and Eduardo Perez, who is a great guy and played college baseball at Florida State. Why do we have to have them here? And we don't have a guy like Tom Hart who loves college baseball, knows college baseball, not here with Mike Monaco. Instead, they're shoving Carl Ravitch down our throat. Let him continue with the major league stuff. Give us our guys that have followed college all year. If you're serious, Tom Hart's here in Omaha, and he's not overseas. But we got lucky because Tom Hart and Kyle Peterson together are great. And we got them in the Stillwater Regional.
Preach!
All right, Jacob Bigalow, not a minister. Well, sometimes a basketball. He'll join us next on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Pyramid Roofing Time Saving Traffic Center. It's a steady Monday morning in the Omaha Metro with no accidents to report. However, expect heavy traffic on eastbound Dodge from 180th to 168th. Over on West End Road, delays between 156th and 180th in both directions. Over on northbound 204th, heavy slowdowns between 370 and Center. Everything else is smooth sailing at the moment. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Just be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
We're excited to announce the grand opening of Saul's Jewelry and Loan's new downtown location. It's a Saul's shopping experience like you've never seen. Amazing jewelry finds at our famous best in town prices. Tools, bikes, guitars. 22nd and Hardy, downtown Omaha, Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Email any of our shows anytime into the Equitable Bank inbox. At Equitable, we take banking personally. For me, John at 1620thezone.com. The Equitable Bank inbox from 1620 The Zone.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends, surprise parties, camps, birthdays. The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
We are the NFHS. That stands for the National Federation of State High School Associations. But really, what we stand for, together with the NSAA, are the 78,000 high school sports and performing arts students in Nebraska. And so we stand. We stand for the runners, debate team members, and basketball players. We stand for their coaches, officials, and adjudicators. We stand for the drummers, football players, and actors. We stand for the golfers, singers, and swimmers. We stand as the national leader and advocate for these essential activities and all who participate in them and make them possible, because it is our purpose to ensure that high school students get to play, perform, and compete together. To learn more about who we are and what we stand for, visit nfhs.org.
Hey, pet parents. With Progressive's collision coverage, you get extra protection for your cat or dog, because there's nothing worse than seeing your pet hurt. Like when you see their face after accidentally stepping on their tail, and you say, "I'm so sorry, Mr. Pickles." But as you kiss his nose and rub his little belly welly, you know Mr. Pickles is thinking, "You betrayed me." Anywho, Progressive pays up to $1,000 in vet bills if your pet is injured in an auto accident. Learn more at Progressive.com and watch where you step. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Collision coverage subject to policy terms. Not available in all states.
Funplex asked an AI assistant where you find ultimate summer fun. And, well...
Funplex. Nebraska's largest water park and rides. Now with the brand new spinning, tilting Wipeout. Tasty treats, special events, private cabanas, and more. Probability of unforgettable fun, 100%. Funplex is the best choice for an all-in-one day of summer excitement.
So, see you at Funplex then?
I am a language model.
Yeah, fair enough. Get your human tickets at fun-plex.com. Let's go!
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no service fees. Shop ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
I hope for the sake of the future of the show, this is the edited version.
Peter, can you confirm?
You better. Because,
you can? All right,
yeah,
good.
Okay, good. Because
good. Peter,
there was something in the first couple of lines.
Yes.
Thank you. Banger of a song.
It is a good song.
All right. Banger of a guest. Jacob Bigalow joins us now. Good morning.
That's high praise. I hope, unlike Chance the Rapper, I didn't peak back in 2016, 2017, whenever that album came out.
What a good year to peak, though. What a good year to peak.
Here, hold on here. So Chance the Rapper, then he started to do other things.
Yes. No, I mean, he has done a lot for the city of Chicago.
Yes, they love him. He could run for mayor.
I think he just did an album. I think he, as they say on the street or on the bridge between New York, and MGM Grand, he just dropped another track.
Yeah, dropped a track.
Yeah.
That would be news to me. That Coloring Book album, really good. A lot of good songs on there. Ooh. That was a soundtrack to a lot of people's summer. But then the album after that was quite horrible, and I have not heard much from him since then.
They can't all be winners.
Made the album for his wife and then
divorced.
divorced.
All be winners. And then divorced. Yep, that was going to be my thing.
Hey,
so maybe there is music on the way.
If you heard any of the stuff this weekend from Eminem, Slim Shady is back. Just listen to it, and you'll understand. He is back with vengeance. All right. So essentially, the athletic season for Nebraska is over. Track and field is still going on. If you had to pick the story of the year in Nebraska athletics, it would be what?
That is a pretty excellent question, actually.
Thank you. I got up early this morning to come up with that for you.
No, that's a good one. I still feel like the run that got the most attention was basketball making the NCAA tournament. The case of it all. Obviously, that didn't end the way people wanted it to. But I feel like the stretch run for basketball and getting back to the NCAA tournament was probably the story of the story of the year for the athletic department, in my opinion. But I mean, there were some like single games that could make a case for that. The women's basketball win over Iowa could probably make the case for that. I mean, there's definitely quite a bit in the running. I mean, even soccer making a deep run. I mean, there's some pretty impressive. Depends on who you ask, but I mean, it was a pretty impressive year all around. For plenty of teams in the athletics department.
Is there, as we've been talking so much baseball today, and what they accomplished in Omaha at the Big Ten tournament, and then they get in the postseason, is there a conversation to be made comparing basketball, baseball, as far as, okay, this is what you accomplished this year, and putting that much more pressure, and I don't even say necessarily on the head coach, but the program as a whole to be able to sustain that? I can't think of two more programs in the athletic department that have more of that pressure to, here's what you did, now we need you to do more of that to move forward as a program, from overall optics to, as Garrett and I have been talking about, even funding for certain projects. Is it comparable, in your opinion, between those two based on what they accomplished this year?
I think it definitely is. I mean, even look at how the season ended for both teams.
Yeah.
Going down against a lower seeded SEC team who you had a better record than. You look at the matchup, initially, and you think, this isn't the worst matchup. Like, I kind of like it. And then, the two teams are warming up against each other, and people are like, one team looks significantly bigger than the other team. And things like that.
That's a good point.
You're just doing the eye test comps, and you're like, this may not go the way we thought it would go. Like, even down to that specifically. But I think in terms of, trying to sustain, positive momentum and using that to hopefully, loosen the pockets of some donors and, try to make this, sustained for both men's basketball and baseball. I think are definitely a lot of similarities and comparable, a lot of comparability with those two programs right now.
Is there and I don't expect you to know track and field or men's and women's gymnastics or bowling, or even rifle, bowling this year. Is there a main sport at Nebraska that does not have at least a minor dose of momentum going into 24-25?
Can't exactly think of one. I mean, it's pretty. There's a lot of positive momentum to go all around. Obviously, we know the good feelings with the front of the house with football and everything that's going into the fall. We got people counting down to kickoff, and it's May, asking for football tidbits when it's May, and there's still plenty going on. Baseball winning the conference tournament, both basketball programs making the in-state tournament. Track and field, Justin St. Clair doing a lot of all talk about good vibes with with the program. I don't know if there's any more than with Justin St. Clair and the track and field program. They've been on a roll these last couple of years. Obviously, volleyball just reloading, retooling. John Cook doing John Cook things. I mean, that's just to name a few. But I mean, there is definitely a lot of positive vibes in North Stadium and all around that campus.
Sometimes we are reminded of it, or we get into the conversation of it, Jacob, of the brand and all of that you laid out there with momentum. And I think it's a very good assessment on both your parts when it does come to that. But I also think about the brand and how much further that can take, whether it's absolutely imperative that you capitalize on the momentum because of people taking notice, because it is Nebraska, because we've, basketball, even though they haven't had that first NCAA tournament win, we know what the fan base is locally when it comes to that product. Football is its own thing. Baseball, if we forget, we're constantly reminded about how many people care and weigh in on baseball when it's happening. But how much of that has to do with just the local fan base and how interested they are in Nebraska athletics? But then when it starts to creep into the national conversation, just the brand, the N alone that goes into that conversation.
I think it'll take a lot for the brand, nationally to be, recognized as more than football and volleyball, with how the last, couple of years have gone, and just the even higher ascension and, national prominence for Nebraska volleyball. But I think on a national scale, it's going to be tough for, the other sports to get out of the shadow of the old gray lady down there, and, the football, Nebraska football, and, everything that's come to be known about, Nebraska fans have suffered through this, this, and this. They're so nice online.
Nice
and,
voice.
all like that whole, I don't know why I'm getting all these different voice impressions out, but there's a whole, it'll take a lot for other sports, on a national scale to get out of that shadow. But I mean, they're like I said, on the previous question, there's a lot of good momentum and programs moving in the right direction right now.
Jacob Bigalow joining us here on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Did you ever watch the movie Summer School?
I did not. No.
Okay.
Such a good movie.
You know what? It may have come out before you were born.
I think it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably did.
I was pretty young when I saw it.
It came out in 87.
So a whole 10 years before I was born.
Yeah. I mean, Mark Harmon, really good.
He was. He's great.
Freddie Shoop.
Yep. Freddie Shoop, yes. Always wearing the Hawaiian shirt.
Okay. So what I'm getting at,
I am curious where you're going with this.
In a roundabout way, summer school is starting today.
Oh, okay.
So, football workouts are going on. Basketball guys are moving in. We are waiting. I thought this was going to be a done deal. The man that is in Turkey, they figured out how to make the man a little money by doing what he can do in Turkey. But what's up with Berkey? How he was supposed to be signed, sealed, and delivered for Nebraska, and it's June 3rd, and he's still in Turkey.
I think there is another week until the first 5-week summer school session starts. I believe the first 5-week session starts.
You're asking the wrong person.
I believe.
Never went to summer school.
I looked into it. I only did one summer, but I think that there's a lot of logistics that goes into one, international players, and what they can do NIL wise, but also from what I've seen from Berkey's social media activity, he is back home in Turkey. So the logistics of getting him from Turkey to Lincoln, that may also be a part of it. But
they got planes.
Still their planes do exist. They are quite the invention, actually. They are really impressive. But I think I do believe he is still trending toward being a Husker when it's all said and done, barring any crazy last minute switches. But it has dragged on a little longer than I expected.
So you're not worried then, even though here we are now in June, as Gary mentions too, and this was something that we thought 2 weeks ago we would be getting some type of confirmation that as this kind of goes ghost for a while, that there should really be no reason for concern.
I don't believe so. I mean, obviously there's always got to be at least a little dose of skepticism with anything that has to do with Nebraska basketball. But everything that I've heard and been told, I'm not too worried about it. No.
They figured out the NIL part of it. I do know that for a fact. So we will wait and see. I'll tell you why I never took summer school. Were you guys not worn out after taking like 12 credit hours in the spring semester?
Yeah.
There was no way I would have been able to do a summer school. I was worn out.
I'm not an overachiever.
Yeah. Let's talk about the NBA Finals. Without looking at your FanDuel app on your phone, which I know you're very active in, who's the underdog in this series?
The Mavs are, and they'd be quite a historic underdog winner. If they
should they be the underdog, though? Should they be the underdog, though?
They should be, yeah.
Okay.
And I think people, I think the biggest thing that I've learned over the last couple of weeks is that the basketball community is really tired of the Boston Celtics. I kind of had that realization when I saw it was like the 6-year anniversary of where Jason Tatum kind of dunked on LeBron. And I'm like, I have watched this man play a lot of basketball, and he is still younger than me. And he has been in the NBA this long, and he's still, doing his thing. But I think, it's kind of, get it done or get off the pot for the Boston Celtics this year. People forget they went 64-18 in the regular season. Were pretty dominant throughout. They've made, people have made quite a fuss about, the path they went through to get where they are and the injuries to the stars and so. But I mean, they still have been without Porzingis for, more than the last month. I think his return is a pretty big X factor, but depending on who you talk to, you may think, the Mavs are the favorite. So I totally get where you're coming from.
Is Luka, in your opinion, is he a villain or is he a great story in the postseason? And I know he's been putting up numbers during his whole career, but what you just mentioned about the Boston Celtics too, where there could even be some Boston fatigue. Do you look at him as the villain or the hero potentially in the series?
Depends on who you're a fan of. I know I have had mixed feelings on Luka for the last couple of years. Yeah. He sure does like to complain a lot. He sure likes to talk a lot. Even when he's getting the calls, he'll still find a way to complain. But I mean, he's going to make a case. If he can, lead the Mavs to a championship, he can make a case for the, I'm that guy. I'm that guy right now. Kind of like Jokic did, last year. So. It kind of depends on who you're a fan of and how you like your basketball to look. Because obviously when Luke is hitting the deep threes, step backs, that can look pretty good. But when it's when those shots aren't going in, it can kind of be a tough watch. But this playoffs, he's kind of there've been few and far between instances when those shots aren't falling.
All right, final one here. We'll get chatter on this about the NBA Finals, which we get on Thursday night. We get Mike Breen. Then we get Doris Burke and JJ Redick together.
You got to bring that up.
Just a terrible combo of those two. And Doris Burke separate, I like. Together, Who benefits more from a title? Jason Tatum? Luka, who is arguably one of the top 3 players in the NBA right now? Or ring number 2 for Kyrie, who is showing that he is one of the best point guards of all time with the way he has played this year?
I think in general it would be Tatum, just because of the discourse that's surrounded him and how he's been categorized in the playoffs. These last couple of years, he's been pretty damn good during this run. But I mean, I think if the Celtics were to get it done, you'd have to find the middle between the overreaction and the Boston parade from the Boston media that would be coming from a Celtics championship. But I think in the long run, he would benefit the most to finally get. I say finally, but to get one. At the point he's at with how he's been these last. Basically since he's been to Boston. He's had deep playoff runs since he got to the NBA, but to finally get over that hump and get a ring, I think would be the most beneficial for him in the long run.
As always, appreciate it. Article, by the way, you want to give yourself some love here? Article is up right now that you just wrote.
Yeah, I posted my most recent magazine story on the Nebraska basketball transfer portal class, gave my thoughts and a little bit of a breakdown on the guys they've added so far. Nothing on the potential addition that could be right around the corner, but when the time comes, that'll be there. But I tweeted that out a little bit ago. It's now up online at HuskersIllustrated.com. So if you need your fix on some hoops content, you can go give that a read.
With the title Deep and Dangerous, which ironically, our producer today, Peter Krinzer, that is his online dating profile, Deep and Dangerous.
Whoa.
So appreciate that, Jacob.
Hey, I'll give Peter credit. He does have that smooth voice. I'll give him that. He does have that smooth voice.
Thank you for bailing us out. You went with the
suave to it.
Hey, you went with the voice. I thought you were going with something else.
I'm glad he saved that.
Oh yeah. No.
All right, be good. Thanks for not playing our game.
Appreciate. Never. Appreciate it, fellas.
Would that be the best way to be described?
Deep and dangerous?
Deep and dangerous. Yeah. I feel like your date card would be full. So, Peter, if you're wanting to use Uncle Gary's advice there.
I would describe my middle child as that, deep and dangerous. Because the middle child is the one that doesn't give an F.
Yeah, that's true.
They're like,
that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
Boston started as minus 225 on their odds on FanDuel to win the series. They're down to minus 210.
Is there that Boston feeling of, are they actually going to, is it going to happen? Because they were the preseason, they were right? Betting wise preseason favorite.
Out of the East?
Out of the East or just total? Yes. It was them and Denver, wasn't it?
I think Denver was the favorite, but I think Boston was definitely the favorite in the East.
So essentially trying to go wire to wire. as what people prognosticated to actually now being back into the finals and getting the job done. I'm amazed on how much doubt. Now, this is again where I can sit back, not follow the entire season because it's just not fully on my radar until the playoffs. And it's relatable because I think there's a little bit of that when it comes to some of the Nebraska athletics that we cover as well. But the amount of Boston fans that have anxiety about this.
Oh, and it's terrible. I feel bad for that Boston fan.
Awful run of lack of success, whether it's the Bruins or it's the Patriots or it's
poor things.
The Red Sox aren't very good. There's that. They've had their moments. They're fine. Everybody's fine in Boston, but you would think that they have not won anything in the last 4 decades. So
yeah, I don't know that we're fully prepared for Boston to win anything again. We've gone a nice little stretch where Boston really hasn't won anything, and it's actually been pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think the country has rolled on sports-wise.
We have carried on, yes. It is true.
Yeah.
This has happened.
It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Deep and Dangerous on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
I read a book about the idea of aliens being a thing.
What is that, a new concept? Someone writing about aliens?
No. It talked about if we're going to find aliens, how we hope to find them.
Boy, that sounds like a really exciting book.
It was a great book. I ripped right through it.
Sean, this is why you don't have fun. You don't allow yourself to wonder.
I wonder all the time. I wonder how I've made it this long being next to you two.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone.
Warm and muggy start to the week Monday. Expect partly sunny skies. Can't rule out a stray shower or storm late afternoon and evening, though most will remain dry. Highs in the mid to upper 80s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Post is roasting every morning.
Post Coffee Services is on a mission to invigorate every workplace with a blend of bold flavors and unforgettable service, creating moments with our coffee, water, and food services that spark joy, productivity, and connection. Call us today.
Proudly serving Nebraska since 1972. Post Coffee Services is always roasting something good for you.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for our 12th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an inclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, we're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
Watching a ball game at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is pretty awesome. Oscar's offers the MLB package, so your team is always on their upgraded audio-video system, and nothing is better than watching the game with a cold frosty one, Oscar's Pizza, or award-winning char-buffed wings. And with daily lunch and dinner specials, it's really a no-brainer. So get ready to watch your favorite team play ball at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and takeout at 162nd and Maple.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is available right at your fingertips in Iowa. The Circa Sports Iowa app is sports betting the way it should be. Bet anywhere in Iowa and experience high betting limits, tight money line splits, and exceptional customer service. Download your new bookie today. Visit circasports.com and start betting like a pro from anywhere in Iowa. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-238-7633.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back in. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, TV, wherever you can consume us. And don't get caught. Keep your head on a swivel today because you may be suspect to a hidden ball trick that Clemson used yesterday to catch Coastal Carolina. It was perfectly executed. I think they have tried it before to no avail because the Clemson video actually followed the third baseman who held on to the baseball and went over by the bag. And when the runner from the Chanticleers was leading off, he tagged him and he was out. Some people were triggered by the hidden ball trick.
I am.
And it's
Mickey Mouse.
Bush League.
It's Mickey Mouse.
Okay.
It's Little League.
Phil Stevenson would like a word?
I don't. It's okay. On one hand, you can say in a time of the year when you need outs in important situations, if there's the element of surprise, then why not, right? Okay. On that, sure. But then I think you're also sending the vibe that we cannot get outs the traditional way. So we need to go to these lengths. We need to go the Mickey Mouse route. We need to go to the Little League.
Top 10 team.
I know. And I have a lot of respect for Eric Bakich. But there were, remember, I think last time you and I talked, I had a lot of praise for Eric Bakich because I think he is a baseball guy that is good for the sport. But even when he was at Michigan, there were little things like that. And I don't know if he ever busted out the hidden ball trick, but there were little things where he wasn't afraid to go the Bush League route. Doing a little human rain delay stuff to break up some rhythms, which I know is done. Doesn't mean I have to like it. The hidden ball trick, though, to me takes it to another level of very Mickey Mouse, very Little League. I don't like the optics of it. I never have. When you're at a high school or above level, I'm not for it.
Okay, so you also don't like when a guy slides into second that you keep your glove on him in case he disengages with the bag?
I don't like that, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I do not like
Quickie poll, was it acceptable or not to have the hidden ball trick?
I say no.
Because Clemson, they knew this was coming, and that's why I think they've tried it before, because in the stadium on the video board, the video cameras were run by Clemson people, and they kept the video camera on the third baseman.
Mm-hmm.
So on television,
so you would see
you were caught off guard.
Yeah.
In stadium, the video guy followed the third baseman with the ball. Now, anytime you have a hidden ball trick, you bring up one of the greatest moments in the history of Omaha. It is, I think, next to the introduction of the orbit, I think this is one of the greatest things that's ever happened in the city of Omaha.
You say that with all seriousness, too, with the orbit.
Taste of Omaha wouldn't have survived without orbit this weekend.
So one time
is the 82
passengers.
College World Series, the hidden ball trick that is the famous one between Miami and Wichita State that Miami pulled off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at Old Rosenblatt.
Which I would have thought Wichita State, given their reputation, would have been the team to do that.
Yeah.
They were also a team that did that.
So anytime I have a hidden ball trick, I immediately go to YouTube, which Wikipedia, YouTube, and Google, and a microwave oven. Like, what else do you need? Oh, maybe a female companion as a guy. If you have those 4 or 5 things, you're golden, Jerry. So I always go and watch that. And I'm always amazed by a couple of things when I watch the hidden ball trick from the Miami-Wichita State game. How far we have come in what our stadiums look like, what our uniforms look like.
Yeah.
Because Rosenblatt looked a little bit different back in 82.
Sure did.
It also, how our game has changed. Did it ever dawn on you guys that athletes that played college athletics back in the 80s looked like they were about 35, 40 years old?
Well, a lot of mustaches.
Everybody looked old back in the 80s. You look at any of the headshots of Nebraska football players, it looks like the only way you get into college is to have a couple of kids and a mortgage. But you watch that game between Miami and Wichita State, everybody looks old.
Yeah, there's a lot of mustaches. It's coming back, too, by the way.
But you know who came up with the idea for the hidden ball trick.
Like, in general?
No. In that game. For Miami to use against Wichita State, which everybody was in on it. They pulled it off. Phil Stevenson thrown out at second base, much to his amazement. His brother, Gene, is the manager or the head coach, of Wichita State. He's like befuddled, but in the back of his mind going, God, that was really, really cool, Nick Handley.
I'm going to do that next time we play.
It was Ron Frazier's Hurricanes, but it was his pitching coach that came up with the idea. You know his pitching coach as?
Who was it?
Skip Bertman.
Oh, it was Skip. That's right. I forgot he was with Miami.
But I also, when I watch that, I also look at the billboards that were at Rosenblatt back in the 80s and wonder if any of those businesses are still around.
All the ones on the outfield?
On the outfield billboard where they had them, they allowed them.
Yep.
And so
until the NCAA
it
said,
would
nope.
be like the Omaha Royals billboards were the College World Series billboards. Like Channel 6 would always be advertised. There is a gigantic one, and this is gone because I've only been back here for a little over a decade. United Sporting Goods had a huge billboard in the outfield back in the 80s. Where was United Sporting Goods in Omaha? Is that what Lawler's became?
Maybe, but no, I think there was Nebraska Sporting Goods for whenever I grew up.
Right.
But also there was a place called DaCosta Sporting Goods. Maybe DaCosta became that one because I've never even heard of that.
So the United Sporting Goods billboard back in the 80s at Rosenblatt was pretty prominent. Like it would be behind the pitcher. But I look at the billboards, I'm like, how many of those businesses actually still exist?
I'm trying to think of was there. I might be totally making this up, but wasn't there like Piccolo Pete's? I'm pretty sure.
Well, there was.
I thought Anthony's had one too.
Remember when minor league ballparks had the Marlboro Man?
The Marlboro Man, yes.
Yeah, and then they
decided.
realized that lung darts are not good for Peters.
Yeah, not good for in between inning festivities too, even for their players.
My male guy, Todd, he said I coached my daughter in the Catholic school softball league, and one church had a coach who was known to water much of the hour time limit with mountain visits and such. Yeah. So he's kind of on the Bush League.
Yeah, there's just certain things that even from a strategic standpoint, if it works, doesn't mean you have to like it. I think when you get to a certain level of baseball, you're above it. That's how I've always felt. Good on you. You get an out in an important game. That's great. But the fact that you needed to go down that route to get an out, to me, says something about you. Doesn't mean you're a bad baseball person. Just means you and I differ.
I look forward to
how we get out.
I look forward to when Clemson beats Kansas State. Eric Bakich comes on the show, and you bring that up.
I will. I'll say why. I'll say, Coach, why?
You're going to say, Coach, why are you a little man? And knowing his personality, that's going to go over really well.
He'll fire right back at me. That's fine.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, there are do or die games today in. Why?
I wish you could. Why? I wish you knew what we were looking at right now.
Why?
If you're watching us on the stream.
Why is that on the TV? Hello.
Just getting some lunges in. No big deal.
There are a couple of do or die games that we'll give our thoughts on. And also maybe be able to answer this car that came up on my vacation.
Okay.
If you buy a fast car, why do you drive it slow?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Be another question for Eric Bakich.
Yeah.
Because I bet
he gets around.
I bet with your reasoning, it's the same thing.
Yep, because you're Bush League.
No,
because you like things that are Mickey Mouse.
Peter, do you know why would you buy a fast car and then drive slow? Isn't that the whole reasoning behind buying a fast car? Is that you can drive fast?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seems like they're missing the.
If you want to drive slow, get a slow car.
As Stanley said in the office, drive a fast car, leave a sexy corpse.
Get a Mini Cooper.
Yeah. Just get something that's going to be easier on the old wallet.
Or what did you say? What did you say? Warren would drive the Honda Accord
or the Camry?
Yeah, I think you go from an Accord to a Camry. All that probably gives very efficient gas mileage.
Or an Impala.
Oh, now see, that would be the most basic car that you could. And usually, I feel like is like number one in rental cars when you just opt for the midsize. Oh, how about an Impala?
Chevy Caprice.
But it's a nice one. It's got all the bells and whistles. Like, oh, I didn't know Impalas were that nice now.
Doesn't Uncle Warren?
Think he's got an EV?
No.
Okay.
He's got an electric bike. He definitely does not have a hotline to Nebraska Athletics to be donating cash.
Nope. Boone Pickens does it to Oklahoma State.
Boone Pickens, greater American than Warren Buffett. Quickie poll, 1620thezone.com. We're back after this.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America NA.
You guys just didn't want it bad enough. That should have been an easy win. What were you doing out there? You got to hustle. You could have made that play if you'd been open.
On the car ride home after the game, when you think you're helping by telling me what I did wrong and what I need to work on, all I hear is that I'm not good enough, that I'm supposed to be perfect, that it's not okay to lose. On the car ride home, all I need to hear is how much you love me and enjoy watching me play, that my worth isn't determined by my performance, that even on my worst day, I am worthy, that you see me learning, growing, and doing my best, and that is enough.
This message presented by the NSAA and the Nebraska State Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal is Kops. Receive 2 $25 gift vouchers for just $25. Kops makes delicious pizza, fresh salads, and tasty charred wings. For the basic menu, click CopsPizza.com. And for the extended menu, visit them at Shadow Lake Town Center, 180th and Center, and the newly reopened 72nd and Jones locations.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com.
When it comes to protecting your home, Jay Stennett Contracting takes pride in ensuring every detail is handled. Roofing, siding, gutters. When it comes to the exterior of your home, Jay Stennett Contracting has you covered. Water, wind, and hail can wreak havoc on the exterior of your home. If your home is damaged, let Jay Stennett Contracting come out for a no-obligation inspection. If repairs are needed, they will help you through every step of the process. When you need an honest assessment, Jay Stennett Contracting has you covered. JSCRestoration.com.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, a couple of more of these old billboards at Rosenblatt as I'm watching the hidden ball trick. So Tim O'Neill Chevrolet.
Oh, yeah, Tim O'Neill, who son was a West Side athlete, Connor O'Neill.
Okay.
Yep.
That really?
Yeah, Connor O'Neill.
Good guy.
Yep. Great
really
dude.
good guy. I did not know that.
Yeah, he was a good baseball and basketball player.
Connor is a dude.
Mm-hmm.
There is Budweiser. Can you
the king of beers.
F&BO with a different looking logo.
Yeah.
Bakers used to advertise at Rosenblatt, and their tagline was "The People Pleasers." Mutual of Omaha. So the United Sporting Goods billboard, which does not exist anymore. A couple of emails here. Tom says it was at Westroads, right about where Von Maur is. I worked there in the mid to late 80s. There was also an arcade next to it called Gizmos, both long gone. Todd says, yep, southwest side of Westroads Mall was where United Sporting Goods was.
I never knew of that one.
They had a prominent billboard location at Rosenblatt back in the 80s.
I love it. Wouldn't this add a little charm to the Chuck if we could have the billboards in the outfield? It just needs something. And I know the NCAA is very much against that, but man, that would brighten things up a little bit. That would charm it up a little bit, because that was kind of fun when you had the billboard still available. Like, you're right, the ones that they had for the Omaha Royals games, that you had those, and then all of a sudden it had to be NCAA, just clear blue, or just just random blue, no advertisements whatsoever, because they didn't pay.
They don't have anything except for Creighton's logo, because they are the host of the College World Series, is on the outfield wall.
Yeah, and it's not very big either. It's just kind of a little, just let you know who the host is. Yeah. Tim O'Neill Chevrolet. There you go.
They were in the right field corner.
Yeah. They were the Kings. Yeah, we were talking about bunting. Yeah, you got all the bunting around the ballpark just to signify that this thing going on right now, it's a big deal.
Okay, we have do or die baseball today before the super regional field is set. We'll do a little quickie here. Cal Irvine and Oregon State, the Eaters and the Beavers.
Give me the Beavers.
Where is that? Because that's a continuation.
It's in Corvallis.
So it was raining.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
basically Corvallis being Corvallis, and they nickel and dimed how they handled that rain delay.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is resuming here in about 2 hours.
Yep.
I'll take Beavers.
You're a Beaver?
Yeah, I'm taking the Beavers.
Okay, I'm a Beaver.
Okay.
Starting here at
Oregon
11.
State, by the way, is up 6-4, if you wanted to know.
Starting here at 11, ECU at home, Evansville. Evansville's a 4 seed.
I'm going to go ECU on this one.
Okay. Florida, Oklahoma State in Stillwater at 2 o'clock today on ESPNU. Can Florida pull this off? Everybody says they don't have any pitching. They looked pretty good last night.
I'll go Cowboys.
I'm going to take Florida.
Okay. Then we have UConn, very impressive, against Oklahoma tonight at 8 o'clock. Could be a big day for OU. Their softball team plays in the national semifinals in Oklahoma City. From here, it's down there. From Norman, it's up there. They play at 8 o'clock tonight. Will the Big East or the Big 12 advance?
I'll give the Big 12 OU.
I'll go OU softball wins, but UConn wins.
Well, softball, yeah. It's I'm taking the OU sweep, yeah.
I like UConn.
Okay.
I do.
And then the big one, LSU in North Carolina, 5 o'clock today. LSU, if they win, which they beat North Carolina last night to force today's game.
Yep.
If LSU wins, they are probably hosting a super, which was unthinkable.
Right.
But if they win tonight in Chapel Hill,
yeah, they would
they
host
will
West
host,
Virginia.
and the national champions are still alive. LSU or North Carolina? Are you going Michael Jordan or Shaquille O'Neal?
Give me Shaq.
I'll go Shaq.
Are you going
the
Matt
Tigers.
Doherty or Chris Jackson?
And I'll go a step further. They're going to play in Omaha.
Are you going Dean Smith or Dale Brown?
Give me Dale Brown. Why didn't you want to bring up now I'm just totally forgetting the
Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf? I did. It's Chris Jackson.
I feel like I'd be very un-Omaha if I took North Carolina in this one. Yeah, I'm going LSU. LSU, there's something about the team that's just riding the heater right now. Give me the Tigers.
All right. I'll go LSU as well.
Nice. And then then you're switching things back over to Alex Box Stadium for a super regional against a 3 seed. Okay. See you in Omaha. Tigers.
Not a bad draw.
All right.
Yep.
Super regional,
Jello
the field will be set after tonight's game. It's going to be tough to knock off Tennessee. I know there's that number 1 seed against them where they look like a juggernaut this weekend. Outscored their 3 opponents 33-12.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good show, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. A lot of Nebraska baseball stuff. It will continue because now the roster construction. The one thing about the change in the college baseball world, the Major League Baseball draft is still about 5 weeks away. So it's not like it's coming up here in the next week or so.
It doesn't happen during the super regionals like it did before.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Or, Pat Burrell gets drafted while he's on the on-deck circle for Miami. Those were back in the days.
Or why he's face down after Warren Morse hits a walk-off.
Also, back in the day, the College World Series would be going on right now at Rosenblatt, and it's 1 week run.
Yes. It would start on a Friday. It would wrap up the following Saturday in a winner-take-all, no matter how many games you won or lost.
And we don't get the Whistler here.
I know.
No Whistler.
It's heartbreaking.
It's a lost
couple
art,
years
man.
now. Couple
I
years
saw a
now.
guy over the weekend in Baltimore. He whistled the national anthem. We don't whistle enough.
kidding.
Was he the actual national anthem singer, or he just was in the crowd doing it?
No, he was the singer.
Wow,
he
he just
whistled
whistled
the
it.
anthem. That's a lost
Oh
art.
my God.
That is a lost
That
art.
had to be the weirdest thing.
Now, I'm not going to whistle because it's annoying on radio.
Yeah. So he had a microphone and he whistled the national
Yeah, he
anthem.
whistled the national anthem.
Probably has had that thing cranked all the way.
Is he like a world-renowned whistler?
I could probably do "Oh Canada" whistling.
We've brought it back
Hey,
to Canada.
By the way, real quickly, the gentleman that you know, that his son came out and rocked the national anthem at Haymarket Park with the guitar. We were at that game, that Indiana game. He was amazing on Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah.
That guy was, the
He's
kid
very
is only
good.
10.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he was amazing. That
Yeah.
was a great national anthem.
It's a lost art. Whistling is blowing bubbles and
I
whistling.
do wish I could do the 2 fingers and the real loud one. I can't do that.
That was.
I wish I could.
I wish my mom wouldn't have been able to do that.
Oh, she could do that?
Oh, it was ear piercing. It was annoying.
Yeah, but it got your attention, didn't it?
I think
Served its
we're
purpose.
losing our youth when they can't whistle or blow bubbles with gum.
Oh, my
can
wife can do neither, and it pisses her off when I whistle and if I'm chewing gum, I blow a bubble.
I can blow bubbles. I have never been able to whistle.
She thinks I'm
I've
taunting
tried.
her when I do that. She thinks I'm just kind of sticking it to her.
Someday this country will turn around. Just hang in there, everybody.
Hey, remember, repetition, practice, just keep practicing.
Until tomorrow at 6. Crossover's coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 16